I think they need a young quarterback. Jim Plunkett at age 39 is obviously not the future of the team. And Mark Wilson, they seem to have given up on him. They need a young quarterback into their system. They also need an offensive lineman. They gave up 61 sacks through the first 15 games. Obviously, they need to protect the young quarterback, and they also need a cornerback to try to have someone ready when Lester Hayes and Mike Haynes decide to give it up.
Now, from a player's standpoint, a game that really doesn't mean anything in the standings, what is the first rule today?
First rule and foremost, don't get hurt on the last game of the season when you are not going to the playoffs. It's a dichotomy for a player because they, first of all, want to play well in the sense that the coaching staff will be looking at this game for future team next year. And also, don't get hurt. The last game of the season, not what you want to do.
Colts and Raiders, stay with us. The Los Angeles Coliseum, it will not be a sellout crowd here today. Very sparse, as the Los Angeles Raiders will not be going into the playoffs in one of the few times in recent years. But this young man, Ron Meyer, the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, his career record is 20 victories and 15 losses. But Jimmy Cefalo, his record with the Indianapolis Colts is 2-0.
He made the decision a couple of weeks ago when he was brought in here to replace Rod Dowhower to activate Gary Hogeboom, who was supposed to be out for the season. And that decision turned the team around, now 2-0, as you mentioned, since he took over, and may mean that they lose Vinny Testaverde.
And Tom Flores with a record of 8-7 on the year, 78-42, his career record, and how time flies. Tom Flores, this is his 8th year as the head coach of the Los Angeles Raiders.
And he's not used to being in this position. None of the Raiders are in this organization. Excellence has always been what the Raiders stand for on the football field. And yesterday at practice, walking around, talking to some of the players and the coaching staff, they were very loose, very relaxed. But you can tell there was just a tinge of disappointment. Of course, a lot of disappointment in not making it to the playoffs.
Stephon Adams, number 44. Fulton Walker, number 41. The deep backs on the return. As Dean Biasucci kicks off, it's taken by Adams at the 5. He's now out to the 15. Slides past a would-be tackler at the 20. And he returns to the 24-yard line. So let's see how the Los Angeles Raiders will be opening offensively today. And scheduled to start is Jim Plunkett. And we just wonder in the back of our minds how long he will play today, as there's speculation that Rusty Hilger may see some action at quarterback. Frank Harkins and Marcus Allen, the running backs. Barksdale and Moffitt, the wideouts. And the great Todd Christensen, the tight end. First down for Los Angeles at their own 24-yard line. Moffitt showing a little motion, and Plunkett opens with play action. Drops it off into the left flat. And it's Frank Hawkins pulling it in at the 28-yard line. So he'll pick up 4, and it's going to be second down and 6 as Bruce Davis, Chris Ream, Don Mosbar, Mickey Marvin, and Shelby Jordan. That is the offensive line for the Raiders. Second and 6 as Tim Moffitt comes wide to the near side. And Barksdale, the speedster, is put at the top of the screen. And there's motion in the backfield. Hawkins. He'll get called for that as flags come down. Marcus Allen carries out to about the 32-yard line, where he is stopped by Dave Aarons. Referee is Tom Dooley.
Illegal motion, 27 moved with the flanker, 2 men moving, second down.
So they'll take the penalty. The down will go over to be second down and 11 back at the 23-yard line. Defensively, Donnell Thompson, Scott Keller, and John Hand, the front 3 for the Colts. Johnny Cooks, Cliff Odom, Dave Aarons, Dwayne Beckett are the linebackers. And changes in that secondary as Holt and Daniel on the corners, Coleman and Nesby Glasgow at the defensive safeties. Second down and 11. So the Colts taking a look at players in different positions in that defensive secondary. The pass intended for Marcus Allen is incomplete. It'll be third down and 11 for Jim Plunkett and the Raiders. And this opening drive, which so far hasn't shown a lot of spark.
No, it hasn't. They've gone to the air a couple of times. Play action, fake on the first play of the drive. A lot of changes for both clubs. First of all, Plunkett sacked so many times, 11 times against Seattle in that Monday night massacre a couple of weeks ago. That's what necessitated the change in the offensive strategy with their offensive line. Charlie Hanna with the broken hand, he sat down. And, of course, Shelby Jordan wound up starting for Henry Lawrence.
3rd down and 11. Moffitt showing motion. 3 wide receivers in for the Raiders. Plunkett scrambles and throws. It is there to Barksdale, and Barksdale's to the 40, the 35, inside the 30-yard line. 48 yards on the play. And it was 3rd down and 11. And a Colt player is injured back at the 12-yard line.
Who says that Jim Plunkett still can't move around? He gets out of the pocket and runs around. Now, Barksdale is absolutely a burner. He didn't play any high school or college football, but is a track man and can fly. When the tackle was missed on the corner by Eugene Daniel, then it's a foot race, and if there wasn't someone in front to force Barksdale to cut back, no one would have caught him. He is the fastest man on the football field today.
We've got a timeout, no score, and we'll be back in just a moment to the Coliseum in Los Angeles. Donnell Thompson, the injured player for the Colts.
Mickey Marvin, number 65, the offensive lineman for the Raiders, is blocking on him, and he simply tries to push him to the outside. Thompson gets that good arm under, but he gets him pushed down and then rolls over on the backside of his leg. The injury looks like to the right part of Donnell Thompson's lower leg, the ankle, or maybe a part of the knee.
1st down at the 30-yard line as Marcus Allen picks up a couple to the 28. 2nd down and 8, no score. The ball at the Colt 28-yard line as Cefalo makes the tackle. And Marcus Allen bothered with injuries the whole season.
Yeah, he just hasn't been right all year long, and he still has 728 yards rushing, which is a real tribute to him. But he has more fumbles lost this year, 6, than he does rushing touchdowns with 5, which is highly unusual.
Vince Mueller is checked into the backfield for Frank Hawkins, and it's 2nd down and 8. Play action fake. Mueller stays in to block. Deep the far side. The pass is caught inside the 10. No, it is Mueller who went out. It was Marcus Allen who stayed in to block. And they'll pick up 20 yards on the play, and that for Mueller is only his 6th reception of the year.
Well, Plunkett is doing the job today. It's his savvy and his experience, certainly not his mobility, but he did get out of the pocket the first time. Here he knows exactly where he wants to go, to Mueller down in the corner. And really not a very good pass, but Mueller has the presence of mind to come back for the football, and he outleaps a couple of Colt players in the corner to get a big catch for the Raiders and set up a 1st and goal.
And congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. They're in the playoffs for the first time in 15 long years. Going into the back edge of the end zone. No, had a foot out. Barksdale. Glasgow had the coverage. It'll be 2nd down and goal to go at the 8-yard line. Kansas City defeated Pittsburgh 24-19.
Here's the inexperience on the part of Barksdale showing, as I said, no high school or college ball. Coming across the back end of the end zone, he did not have to step out of bounds, but he did early on. Did not know where the back end of the end zone was. Could have easily gotten both feet down to score a touchdown.
And as a wide receiver, you always know where the lines are.
You always have to know, especially where the back end of the end zone is. I mean, that's the money area. Barksdale will learn that as he gets more savvy as a football player.
2nd down, goal to go, 8-yard line. And we have jumping and contact, and another final is in. Cincinnati destroyed the Jets, 52-21. Boomer Esiason
94 defense. 2nd
Boomer
down.
Esiason throwing 5 touchdown passes. Woo, that was on Scott Keller, the nose tackle.
And so Paul McGuire became prophet 5 weeks ago when he said the Jets wouldn't win another football game.
A couple of other finals. Washington defeating Philadelphia 21-14. St. Louis over Tampa Bay. Now let's go to the ticker and we'll set all these numbers up for you. Cincinnati, the big win over the Jets, 52-21. Kansas City defeating Pittsburgh, so the Chiefs are in. And Washington defeating Philadelphia. And of course, Washington is already in the playoffs. Philadelphia is not. And we'll have some more for you. 2nd down, goal to go, just a little bit closer. And Marcus Allen slashes to about the 2-yard line, where it's going to be 3rd down and goal to go as Scott Keller makes the stop. Vinny Testaverde is on. He's going to stay in Florida.
Right up the coast to Tampa Bay.
St. Louis defeated Tampa Bay by 4, 21-17.
Now, if Tampa Bay last year would have been able to sign Bo Jackson, can you imagine Bo Jackson and Vinny Testaverde in the same backfield?
Oh, yeah. Third down, goal to go. The blitz was coming, pass incomplete to Marcus Allen. Plunkett had to get rid of it in a hurry. So it's going to be fourth down and goal to go as we'll take another look.
All right, let's see where the pressure comes from. The top part of your screen. Oh, there he is. Johnny Cooks, number 98, with a clear shot. Now, Marcus Allen had the choice between blocking Cooks or going out, releasing into the flat. Plunkett knew that, and the option was to throw the football over Cooks to Marcus Allen. Unfortunately for the Raiders, he was not able to get it off before Cooks got there.
So Mark Wilson will hold. Jamie Kimmel is the snapper, and Chris Barr will attempt a field goal from the 9, an attempt of 19 yards for the early lead in the ball game, and it is good. As Chris Barr hits from 19 yards away, and the Raiders are out in front of the Colts by a score of 3-0. We'll be back with the kickoff in a moment. This is Charlie Jones and Jimmy Cefalo, and we're back at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. And while we were away, we were talking about all of the possibilities. First of all, Cincinnati defeating the Jets 52-21.
Right, now they have to hope for New England to lose tomorrow night. If New England loses, they are completely out of the playoffs, and Cincinnati crawls in with a wild card.
And Kansas City is in by defeating Pittsburgh. And that means, I believe, if we're correct, that Seattle is out.
Correct.
Does not have a chance. The return taken to the 5-yard line by Albert Bentley. And he returns to the 26. So Indianapolis will go to work at their own 26-yard line, first down. Now Cleveland swamps San Diego. That's in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, Minnesota out in front of New Orleans. For the Vikings, they're just a week late. And a final Atlanta over Detroit. Houston finishing up with a win over Buffalo. So Houston finishes strong. Tampa Bay losing to St. Louis, and that means that they, of course, will have the first shot of the draft, regardless of the outcome of here today. And they'll go for Vinny Testaverde. The Colts open with 3 tight ends to give us to Randy McMillan, and he just rambles for the big first down as he goes to the 41-yard line. He picks up a quick 15 yards on the play, and McElroy makes the tackle. Here's the basic offense with Hogeboom at quarterback, Walsley and McMillan, Booza and Brooks outside. Pat Beats the tight end. Now, they made some changes in that offensive line. They moved some people around. Baldishweiler is at left tackle. Hinton has moved inside at left guard. Donaldson the center, Solt and Call on the right side of that line. It is now a final, 47-17, Cleveland defeating San Diego. And here the score is Los Angeles 3 and Indianapolis nothing. As Hogeboom just swings it off to the left flat to Wansley. And he is hit at the line of scrimmage, and 3 flags come down, one of which is kicked away by one of the Raiders. Matt Millen was there for Los Angeles. A face mask, I believe, is going to be the call. It was a first down for the Colts at the 41-yard line.
Millen, quite a character, was a defensive lineman at Penn State, and then, of course, was a linebacker.
Face mask, 15 defense, first down.
And they went with the 15-yard penalty, which means that he grabbed and shook it just a little bit. The face mask can be 5 yards if it's unintentional and the mask is not moved side to side. Let's see what happens with the hit on Matt Millen. And he does grab the mask, and a little bit of shake. Yeah, he got a little bit of the nose, a little bit of the face mask, and he got the 15 yards as well.
First down at the Raider 45-yard line. First opportunity for the Colts on offense. Hogeboom with Harbor in motion. And he throws into coverage over the middle. The pass is pulled down at the 35-yard line by the tight end, Pat Beach. Jerry Robinson with the tackle. And a pickup of right at 10 yards. It may be a first down. Let's see whether it is going to be a first down. So the Colts offense moving very well against this defense of the Los Angeles Raiders. Howie Long, Mitch Willis, and Sean Jones. Of course, Willis is in because of injuries to Piquel. Robinson, Matt Millen, McKenzie, and Martin, the linebackers. With Seal replacing Lester on the corner, Mike Haynes, Turan, and McElroy rounding out that secondary. And it's a first down. And here's McMillan. 5 yards to the 30-yard line. It's going to be second down and 5. Sean Jones with the tackle. Of course, Bill Packel is out with a knee. Dokie Williams is out with a knee. Lester Hayes is out with a foot. Andy Parker out with a foot. And those are all rather recent injuries. We're talking last 2 or 3 weeks. And for the Raiders, they've got a ton of people on their IR list.
They've got 17 on their injured reserve list. As you take a look at Lester Hayes, the All-Pro cornerback.
That is Christmas present leather pants. Is that what?
Red leather pants.
Okay, Santa. Second and 5. Boyer comes in motion and reverses. The pitch is back to McMillan. And McMillan is to the 22-yard line. So he will pick up 8 yards and the first down. Van McElroy makes the tackle.
And they did switch up their offensive line quite a bit. Chris Hitton, the All-Pro tackle, will be going to the Pro Bowl this year as a tackle, has moved into guard. And then so far in watching their offense move, they've pulled Hitton quite a bit. He's a very strong, powerful blocker, and he's been running over the defensive backs of the Los Angeles Raiders so far this afternoon and making some room for McMillan.
Official spot the ball at the 23-yard line. We're moving on the 8-minute mark. Time remaining, first quarter. Raiders on top of the Colts by a score of 3-0 into double coverage, and it is incomplete. Hogeboom trying to hit his tight end, Pat Beach. Van McElroy was there, and Jeff Barnes, the linebacker, also dropping back in the coverage.
This is a nice play on the part of Beach. He jumps up and really becomes the defensive back. Watch him right at the end. He knocks it away because McElroy has got the interception, but he just plays volleyball, knocks it over the other side of the net to avoid the interception.
We saw Lester Hayes on the sidelines. You had a chance to visit with him yesterday. He wanted to go one-on-one, even hobbled, right?
He challenged me. I said, Lester, this is the first time in both our careers that I could beat you with that broken foot. He had the leather pants on then, too.
Maybe he couldn't get them off. Second down and 10. Incomplete. Hogeboom was running out of time. He was looking for Boyer, and it was Howie Long who was there for the Raiders.
Hogeboom was supposed to be out for the entire season after separating his shoulder against the Miami Dolphins in week 2, but he takes a shot right at the end from Howie Long. Howie was kind of gentle on him right at the end.
Oops, just a flash of games and scores, then they're back. Cincinnati defeating the Jets. Kansas City in the playoffs, downing Pittsburgh, and Washington over Philadelphia. Game was pretty close most of the way. We'll come back to that panel in just a second as play is ready to go here. Third down and 10. Hogeboom fires over the middle to the 17-yard line. And there's a marker on the play, and usually that means offensive holding. Boyer is the man who pulled it in. No, yes, it is going to be illegal use of the hands. And remember, that was third down and 10, and the decision will be left to the Raiders. Cleveland big over San Diego, and of course Cleveland already, and they have home field advantage. They had it before this game all the way through. As long as the Super Bowl, they'll be playing in Cleveland, which is a big advantage, but they can get cold on the shores of Lake Erie. Minnesota over
illegal use of hands, 66, offense, third down.
Call on Ron Schultz. So Minnesota winning, and Atlanta finishes strong down in Detroit 20-6. Houston wraps it up with a win, 16-7 over Buffalo. And Tampa Bay loses, but they win. Vinny Testaverde. And here are the score: the Raiders 3 and the Colts nothing. Just under 7.5 minutes to go in the first quarter, and the ball at the 33-yard line. Third down and 20. Now Hogeboom looking across to the umpire. I think he knew that he was running out of time, tried to go quick timeout before he's going to get called for delay of game. There's the 30-second clock ran out on him. Maybe he couldn't find it.
It is a large cavernous bowl here, but the first thing you do as a wide receiver, or running back, or a quarterback is you locate the 30-second clock so you know exactly where they are when you come to the line of scrimmage.
And of course, when you're in the broadcasting business, First thing you locate is the men's room. Just, you know, a little tidbit. Okay, it's 3rd down and 25. Well, it's the end of the season. Here's McMillan to the 35-yard line. So he has 3, and it's going to be 4th down and 22.
And he's hurt.
Yes, he is. Randy McMillan, a #1 draft choice in 1981, taken in the 1st round in his 6th year. Played his collegiate ball at Pitt. And the clock is stopped with 6 minutes and 31 seconds. That is the time remaining in the 1st quarter. The score is Los Angeles 3 and Indianapolis nothing. We've got an injury timeout, and we'll be back to the Coliseum in just a moment. Randy McMillan is up. That is good news, and it does not need to be helped off the field, so perhaps just had the wind knocked out of him.
He took quite a shot from James Davis, number 45. Take a look at him coming from the other side. And Davis was on the ground for a little bit of a while after this hit as well. It seemed that they knocked each other silly for a second. McMillan, though, the leading rusher for the Colts, they've had a dismal performance, especially in their running game. After being #1 in the AFC in 1985, they dropped to 27th in the NFL this season in rushing output.
Matching that 52-yard attempt is Dean Biasucci. Oh, he's got the distance. He's got it with room to spare from 52 yards away, and that ties his career-long field goal and ties up the ball game at 3-3 with 6:11 left to go in the 1st quarter.
And he kicked a 52-yarder last week against Buffalo to put the Colts up on top after missing a 30 and a 32-yarder early in the football game. Was nearly booed out of the Dome in Indianapolis, but came back. It shows you what confidence will do for a player. You are absolutely right about this, Charlie. He hits it strong, and this could have gone 60 yards at least. He had plenty of distance on the kick.
And he is now with this one hit only 4 of his last 10, so he's not on a hot streak of any manner of means, but maybe this could end up, he can end up very strongly today.
Contact the Los Angeles Raiders by mail or phone. Thank you.
6 minutes and 11 seconds. That is the time remaining in the 1st quarter. We're now tied. And here is what the situation is in the AFC. As you know, the NFC had already been decided. Well, Cleveland is in with a home field advantage. Denver is in the playoffs as they are the winners of the West. The Jets are in. Kansas City, they are all in. That's 4 of the 5. It's now up to New England and Cincinnati. If New England is in if they win Monday night at Miami.
And our division champs if they win.
And they never win in Miami. But if they lose, then Cincinnati is in.
The Patriots are 1-17 over the last 9 years in the Orange Bowl, but this is a game they sorely need.
Vance Mueller on the return.
That's still a good ball at the 12. Returns it across the 30.
And a reminder to our viewers that we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game, and we, as always, will make that announcement at the conclusion of the game. Oh, and I got to tell you on a game earlier, I just share this with our viewers today on this Sunday afternoon. We had a Most Valuable Player in a ball game, and all of a sudden, you and I selected. Glenn Adamo was our producer, and he had to change it right at the last moment. We asked him after the game, he said, I couldn't find a picture of yours, so I just picked a picture of mine. That's the way these things are done. Major awards. Swing pass left side, Frank Hawkins. Hawkins has about 4 yards on the play. And it's going to be 2nd down and 6 as Dwayne Bickett makes the tackle.
Ball for 35.
All right, Plunkett, all the experience that can go into a quarterback possibly, it is all with Plunkett. Looking downfield, he knew exactly where Hawkins was, the outlet on the side. And instead of getting a loss or throwing it away, he winds up with a gain of about 5 yards.
2nd down and 6. Moffitt going in motion. And Marcus Allen goes to the 1st down, 41-yard line. He needed 6. It's going to be in that neighborhood. Marcus Allen, some numbers on him. Hobbled by injuries most of the season, and you got the the veteran Jim Plunkett in his 16th year. What is the challenge of a game like this at the end of a season when you're not going to the playoffs?
For many running backs, especially Marcus Allen with the injuries, he'd be sitting down now for many, but not for Marcus Allen. He's, for my money, the toughest running back in the NFL. He's got it all: instinct, toughness, competitiveness. And if you have one player in the entire league, for my money, that you want to give the ball to in a tough spot, it's Marcus Allen. That's why he's playing today. He's that competitive nature.
Plunkett, little play action fake, goes downfield to Barksdale to the 30, the 25, the 20, and he goes out of bounds at the 16-yard line. 42 yards, second big play in the ball game for this youngster out of Arizona. Nesby Glasgow, the free safety, is the man who got him at the 16.
The Raiders have a real find in Barksdale. Here you see the mobility of a Plunkett rolling out the short rollout. Looked like it was designed beforehand. But Barksdale wrote a letter to the Raiders a year ago, and they say they get about 3,000 letters a year from guys who didn't play high school or college football. Barksdale was the one that worked out. They said, sure, come on in. You've got the great speed. We'll give you a tryout. And it appears he is in the mold of the Raiders' strong, fast wide receivers.
One of the things that they need to find, 2 receptions, 89 yards. Plunkett is 5 of 8. He's already thrown for 117. This one into the end zone, and it is incomplete. Marcus Allen, the intended receiver. So we'll bring it back to the 16. It's going to be second down and 10. And that's quite a story on Rod Barksdale, because he's a pure track man.
Yes, he is. No experience whatsoever.
He had a 10-2 100 meters, and that is really moving. Really moving. And 12 receptions coming into the ballgame, averaging over 21 yards a reception, so he may be one of the great finds.
And he ran on the same relay team with Vance Johnson, the fine wide receiver for the Denver Broncos.
Born in Los Angeles, he attended Compton High School. And here's Marcus Allen from Lincoln High School in San Diego. And Nesby Glasgow from Gardena High School in Los Angeles. Just a little Southern California connection. We're using it all today.
You can tell Marcus Allen is still hobbled just a little bit. It's not the explosive Marcus Allen we've come to know. He still has that good juke, though, and it just seems when he gets into the open field, he doesn't have the burst that he's had in the past. But that'll come back after an off-season of rest on that sore ankle.
At the 6-yard line, it's going to be third down, about half a yard to go. It's now a final, Minnesota 33, New Orleans 17. First quarter, Chicago, Payton scoring. Walter Payton scoring. Bears leading the Cowboys. First down, Marcus Allen and the Los Angeles Raiders. Johnny Cooks with the tackle. #1 draft choice back in 1982. In fact, the defense of the Colts have 5 #1 draft choices among their starters. And they're liable to have a 6th after this year.
Well, they keep going after the defensive side of the line of scrimmage for themselves. You're absolutely right, but they still have not put together a defense that competes in this NFL. Cornelius Bennett, how about him for a pick for the Indianapolis Colts? A strong, very good linebacker for the University of Alabama.
In fact, we talked with Bob Irsay before.
And we'll get his Christmas wish later on.
He alluded to that. He alluded to the young man from Alabama. We have a timeout taken on the field, and that means it will go away from a moment. 3:02, time remaining, first quarter. We are tied at 3 in the Coliseum in Los Angeles. Total yardage thus far weighing heavily to the side of Los Angeles, but the scoreboard is even up, but threatening to be changed. It's tied at 3-3. Dean Biasucci with a 52-yard field goal that answered Chris Barr's 19-yard field goal. And Plunkett fires into the end zone for a Raider touchdown. 3 yards away, and it is Todd Christensen with his 7th touchdown reception of the year, the #1 receiver in the National Football League. And for Jim Plunkett, his 14th touchdown pass. And a very nice 69-yard drive.
And that goes back to the old way of doing things for the Raiders. 2 speed runners on the outside as wide receivers. And that allows Christensen to roam the inside of the middle, and he really, in effect, becomes the only possession receiver that the Raiders have.
69 yards in 7 plays. Chris Barr to attempt the point after. And it is good. And the Raiders move out in front for the second time in the ball game, and this time the score is 10-3. As Todd Christensen pulls in his 7th touchdown reception of the year, and he is headed for the Pro Bowl.
He became the only receiver to catch more than 80 passes 4 years in a row as a tight end. He is something else. He plays his zone so very well. You see that? He knew he had 2 defensive backs, one on one side and one on the other. Leonard Coleman on one side and Eugene Daniel in the middle. And he knew enough to sit down in the middle and catch the ball in between the zone.
We were talking about the teams that are going to be playing in the playoffs with Cleveland, Denver, the Jets, and Kansas City. Cleveland with home field advantage all the way. The second home field advantage will go to Denver, and Denver will have home field advantage for the regionals or for the division championships. And then if they win, they would then go to Cleveland unless Cleveland lost earlier, and then Denver is second as far as home field advantage is concerned. And I took something that was very simple and made it very complicated, I think. Jimmy is looking at me, that blank stare in his eye. You know, it's one of those.
Well, that advantage, the home field, is very big, as you mentioned, because of the weather in Cleveland and the weather in Denver, as well as the fans there at Mile High Stadium.
Albert Bentley will down the kickoff in the end zone. And Indianapolis will go to work at their own 20-yard line, first down.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the Raiders scoring drive, it went 69.
Remember the Freeze Bowl game of a couple of years ago when the Raiders went to Cleveland to play in the playoffs there, and ironically the Raiders win in the cold weather of Cleveland Stadium. So I guess what it comes down to is the best team will win regardless of home field advantage.
Well, I don't always agree with that, because I remember the San Diego game at Cincinnati, which was so cold, and the Chargers felt that as a passing team or as a finesse team that they never really had a chance. And on a warm day, they might have been a better ball game.
Well, you're right about that, but that was subhuman, that temperature.
That one doesn't count. Hogeboom throws far side, and it is caught. Coming down with the reception is the rookie Bill Brooks, and what a year he is having. That is his 60th reception of the year, his first of the ball game, already more than 1,000 yards. And he, by the way, battling with Ernest Givens for the outstanding rookie receiver. Givens in the Houston ball game, 2 receptions for 49 yards.
And Brooks has not gotten nearly as much attention as he should. Over 1,000 yards, as you mentioned, but some all-rookie teams that I've read about, they don't even mention Billy Brooks, and that's really upsetting. He should be a candidate for the Offensive Rookie of the Year in the league.
Oh, yeah. He's the first rookie over 1,000 yards receiving since Chris Collinsworth in 1981 for the Bengals. And Albert Bentley, now the running back from the 37 out to the 41-yard line, so he'll pick up 4. It's going to be second down and 6 as Mitch Willis makes the tackle.
What's even more impressive about Billy Brooks is the fact that he didn't start until game 5 of the season, so he's really put this all together in the last 11 weeks.
4 yards.
The most prolific wide receivers in Colt history, Brooks and Booza. And it's a screen, and it's intercepted at the 32-yard line. It's Jerry Robinson. He's going to score. 32 yards. Townsend was putting on the pressure.
That may be the most impressive interception for a touchdown that I have ever seen. He was going to try to knock the head of the receiver off, and the ball just wound up in his lap. I don't know. It seemed in midair he made the interception and then had the presence of mind to get up and scoot into the end zone. And Hogeboom seemed to be a little bit injured on the play. Let's take a look at him. Remember, he has that separated shoulder problem that he's coming back from. It is his left shoulder, by the way. He didn't get hit that hard. It didn't appear, but he does seem to wince just a little bit as he's sitting down on the ground.
He was wincing more as he saw those players go running by it. He knew that Robinson was headed for the end zone with his 2nd touchdown of the year, his 4th interception. And the Raiders now out in front by a score of 16-3, still with 1:12 left to go in the first quarter. A delay on the field, possibly for the replay official to take another look to see whether or not there was contact after Robinson had the interception. There's the tip. There's the interception. No, he missed him. He missed him. He was not touched down at all. That was Pat Beach. And so Robinson has the touchdown, no question about it.
And he did see the ball. He wasn't going after the receiver after the tip, but as he was falling down.
The play stands. Touchdown.
32-yard interception.
And that is a good call. And there's, you know, some people will just lay there after that kind of a play saying, well, I caught him on the ground, I'll roll around for a while.
Yep.
But not Jerry Robinson. He's got a lot of speed to get up and get into the end zone after rolling around on the ground for a roll or two.
Yep. Chris Bard to attempt the point after. And it is good. And the Los Angeles Raiders ran in front of the Indianapolis Colts now by a score of 17-3 with 1:12 left to go in the first quarter.
Indianapolis Colts 3.
Jerry Robinson from UCLA in his 8th year in the National Football League.
After spending time in Philadelphia and was unhappy there, asked for the trade. The Eagles obliged by sending him here to Los Angeles, and he's probably a very happy man back, as you mentioned, where he played his college ball at UCLA.
Born in San Francisco, and high school football, basketball, and track star at Cardinal Newman High School in Santa Rosa, California. Now let's go back and check all of the early games in the National Football League. The Jets losing to Cincinnati. Kansas City winning. They had the simplest job of all. They won there in the playoffs. They did, and they are. Washington over Philadelphia. San Diego losing at Cleveland. Cleveland is really on a roll. They've got home field advantage as long as they're in. Minnesota wins, and Atlanta wins. And we've got another panel for you after the kick as Chris Barr is kicking off. And Albert Bentley takes it a yard deep. He's out to the 10. And he's going to get back to about the 12 or 13-yard line where he was pushed back. And so they'll give him his progress in the neighborhood of the 12 or the 13. Jeff Barnes was there on the special team. Let's go back to the ticker and pick up the other scores. Houston over Buffalo, so the Oilers win on a high note, and St. Louis defeats Tampa Bay. That means, of course, that Tampa Bay will have the first draft choice, and they'll go for Vinny Testaverde. That, by the way, you'll see in the Fiesta Bowl, where Jimmy and I will be on Friday night, January the 2nd, replacing Miami Vice. And I promise I'm not going to shave that day. The score here, the Raiders way out in front of the Colts first quarter, 17-3. And so Indianapolis will try it again. They mark it at the 14-yard line. Hogeboom's pass far side is complete to Billy Brooks. He's not going to pick up any yardage on the play. May lose the yard. Let's see where they spot him out of bounds. They're going to mark it out at the 14. And so it'll be 2nd and 10.
Hogeboom coming back after the injury. This is an unusual play. He comes from the far right side of the formation, goes in motion, and winds up right back on the other side, but it's man-to-man coverage. And number 54, Reggie McKenzie, stuck with him the entire way. That's a lot of running for a loss of a yard.
Second down and 10. Pressure, and he's in the grasp of Sean Jones. For Sean Jones, he now has 14.5 sacks, and that is the first of the ball game for the Raiders. They're 61st on the year.
Sean Jones, if you think he's big, 6'7", 275, and he could run. He replaced Lyle Alzado a year ago, and he shows signs of being a really dominating defensive end. There you see with that long wingspan, that's tough to get away from a man who's that big.
And now you truly can say what they mean when you're in the grass. Very visual and control. And Sean had the man. 3rd down and 20. Hogeboom now from the end zone throws, and it is Brooks that has it at the 22-yard line. It'll be short of the first down by about 4 yards.
Jerry Robinson.
Brooks does all the things that a young wide receiver. He's got the great instincts. That's what's the first and foremost in his mind. He's a good man-to-man receiver, but he also knows how to find the soft spot in the zone, as he does here. A pure zone coverage. The Raiders simply did not want to give up the yardage for the first down. That forced Brooks to go a little bit short of it, but Hogeboom had to deal it anyway, or he would have been sacked.
And for Brooks, that is his 62nd reception on the year. He is the leading rookie receiver into the first quarter. We'll be back. Here are the statistics in the first quarter. Yards rushing, the Colts by 10. Yards passing, the Raiders by, what's that, around 90 plus yards. Total offense, 164 to 67. And time of possession, 8-12 for Indianapolis, 6:48 for the Raiders. Of course, don't forget that the interception by Jerry Robinson in the return for the touchdown. Fulton Walker now set to return the punt of Ron Stark. Stark's first punt of the ball game, leading kicker in the National Football League. Ooh, not that good. Taking it to 42, 45, 40, inside the 35. 33 yards on the kick, a very poor kick, but a great return of 24 yards. Tate Randall, leading special teams tackler for the Colts, is the man who brought him down.
First and 10 Raiders. 37 yards on the punt.
So as we start the second quarter, the Raiders with excellent field position, the ball at the 34-yard line of Indianapolis.
Plunkett, quarterback for the Raiders.
I think you'll see a lot of big special teams play today here and around the league. Usually, as I mentioned before, last day of the season, maybe you don't want to get hurt. The way to get hurt is on special teams. If you're not going to the playoffs, I'll bet you'll see Fulton Walker or somebody break one today.
Frank Hawkins, the ball carrier, and he has about 10 yards. Should be a first down as he goes to the 24-yard line, and it is a first down. And Hawkins with 232 yards on the year, a 4.1-yard average. For Frank, though, a chance to carry the ball a little bit more in a game like this at the end of the season. So he could have a little more fun than anybody else.
Yes, it is. And somebody like Frank Hawkins, if he just blocks for Marcus Allen, he does his job during the regular season. But any running back wants to get his hands on the football. And as you mentioned, he probably will get a chance more today.
The Raiders now with Mark Patterson and Jesse Hester as the wide receivers. Plunkett fires far side. Pass is complete to Patterson. And for Mark Patterson, that is his first flag is down. That is his first reception. John Holt with the tackle. So Mark will have a little smile on his face. And we'll check out the flag.
Hunter Coleman, John Holt on the stop.
Harvey Armstrong is the Colt the official was talking with.
79 defense, first down.
On Harvey Armstrong.
Just a little bit late at the end of this play. There he is, 79, top part of your screen. Now the receiver is down. Well, that didn't seem to be too bad, at least from this angle. That didn't seem to be too late. Nothing flagrant, but you do have to stay off of the receiver once the whistle blows. That play, Plunkett changed that play at the line of scrimmage. You saw a lot of movement. They simply went to a quick hitch pattern by both wide receivers.
In the other game in progress, Chicago is still leading Dallas 7-0. Walter Payton scoring the touchdown. Napoleon McCallum is checked in as a running back. And he gets the ball. He fumbles it. And the Colts have the ball. Harvey Armstrong, now the pushing and shoving continues, is the man that we had recovering the fumble.
That's the second week in a row that McCallum has coughed the ball up in a critical situation. Last week against Kansas City, he did the same thing. In fact, a week ago, the Raiders gave the football up 7 times without getting a turnover back. No question about that fumble. He was up in midair when the ball was coughed up. We'll be right back after this.
Billy Ingraham of Lancaster, California.
Today's game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be. And by Stroh's and Stroh Light. Now you're talking good times, and Stroh's is spoken here.
Happy Happy holidays, everybody. This is Charlie Jones along with Jimmy Cefalo.
Are you finished with your holiday shopping yet?
Yes. You don't do yours till Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve. That's rule number 1. Do not do any Christmas shopping until Christmas Eve.
Okay, that's rule number 1. The give is to Albert Bentley. What is rule number 2?
Don't forget anybody on Christmas Eve.
Don't forget rule number 1 or you're really in trouble. Okay.
Don't get sick on Christmas Eve is rule number 2.
8 of 3. Second down and 7. Average field position at the start of the drive. The Colts starting from their own 16. The Raiders starting from their own 41. What a difference that can make. 2nd and 7. Just under 13 minutes, that is the time remaining in the first half. And the Raiders are out in front of the Colts by 14 points. Hogeboom throws in the left flat. The pass is complete to Pat Beach, the tight end. Van McElroy with the stop, and Indianapolis picks up a first down at the 17-yard line.
You see a lot more good-natured camaraderie between the teams on a day like this, or you notice Pat Beach and Van McElroy exchanging Christmas greetings on the sideline. I guarantee you 4 weeks ago, if these two teams got together, Van McElroy or Pat Beach wouldn't have exchanged greetings with anyone unless it was their own quarterback.
Today's game is the property of the National Football League, Indianapolis Colts, and Los Angeles Raiders. All rights reserved. First down at the 17-yard. That's a new disclaimer. New copy. Oh, less words. More work for the attorney. Pass is complete to Matt Booza. Good rolling reception at the 32-yard line. A gain of 15 on the play and the first down.
And he beat Sammy Seal on the play. Sammy Seal, of course, replacing the injured Lester Hayes today. There's no comparison, of course, between Lester Hayes and very few other cornerbacks in the league. Sammy Seal is a small defensive back, and I think here Matt Booza takes a little bit of advantage of it, getting a release at the line of scrimmage. The Raider cornerbacks like to play that tough man-to-man cover, and it's tough for somebody as small as Sammy Seal.
Hogeboom has completed 7 of 10 for 66 yards. He has been intercepted one time. That cost him a touchdown, and here's Albert Bentley.
Handoff to Albert Bentley.
He'll pick up a couple of yards on the play. Jeff Barnes and Mitch Willis making the stop for the Los Angeles Raiders. The temperature in the upper 60s and the sun shining today in Los Angeles.
We gain of 1 yard.
Doesn't really seem like Christmas weather here in Southern California.
Mitch Willis at 6'8", 275, right alongside of Sean Jones at 6'7", 275. That is, I would imagine, the largest defensive line in football with this particular lineup in there.
Hogeboom has completed 4 in a row. And now 5 and a first down at the 45 as Booza pulls it in. Mike Haynes with the tackle.
Mike Haynes brought him down.
And a gain of 11 yards. Sean Jones putting the pressure on.
Every quarterback has a favorite receiver. It happens to be for Hogeboom to be Matt Booza. He had 11 receptions since Hogeboom came back in the past 2 games. There you see Hogeboom on his back one more time. That injured shoulder does not feel very good, I would imagine now. And a nice catch by Booza, man-to-man coverage. Hey, anytime you go against Mike Haynes and you get open man-to-man, you've had quite an afternoon.
Hogeboom 5 in a row now at the Colt 45-yard line and a first down. And here's Bentley. And he'll have a yard to the 46 where Stacy Turan was there to greet him. It'll be second down and 9. Now, another point that we really haven't talked about is that in the skill position, there's a few incentives floating around because there's some incentive clauses built into your contracts.
Always.
Receptions and yardage.
I'll give you a good example. Mark Clayton, a couple of weeks ago, the wide receiver for the Dolphins. They said he was out for the season. He needed just a few yards to get his incentive for a 1,000-yard year, and he made a miraculous recovery and did eventually get that incentive paid off last week after getting his 1,000 yards.
Second and 9. Hogeboom high. Now he's completed 6 in a row. This to Mark Boyer. Robinson with the tackle at the 49-yard line. A gain of 3. So it is third down and 6.
3-yard gain.
Nice catch down the bottom of your screen. Again, Hogeboom seems to be staring at his wide receivers quite often. He's got that very strong arm and feels that he can put it in just about any place he wants. There he had a lot of room. Mark Boyer wide open on the corner. Only picked up a few yards, though. They'll face a 3rd down and about 6 to go.
9 of 12 of the last 6 in a row, and it's 3rd down and 6. And Hogeboom goes deep, throwing before the break, and it is caught by Billy Brooks. 22 yards as Brooks continues to make the big play, and the throw was before he made the break or he looked back.
Oh, yeah, this is a nice move on the part of Brooks and a great throw on the part of Hogeboom. As you mentioned, throwing the football well before the break made of the wide receiver split screen. Now Hogeboom on the left, Sammy Seal covering, Brooks on the right, a man-to-man coverage, and he throws it well before. I mean, he's another 5 yards downfield before Brooks makes the cut. A tremendous timing pattern on the part of Hogeboom and Brooks down the bottom side.
And it was Townsend who was putting the pressure on Hogeboom. Go ahead.
And that shot you saw just before was Lester Hayes in those red leather pants, again going up to Sammy Seal to try to give him a little bit of encouragement on the sideline. It's been a tough afternoon for Seal already.
But what a great shot Andy Rosenberg, our director, and his crack camera crew came up with under Glenn Adamo, our producer. Got to get everybody in, you know, that's part of it. No, but they really did. Throwing before the break, and that's a visual example of it. Good job. This intercepted. 7 in a row, and then intercepted as he drills Mike Haynes. Brooks, the intended receiver, and Haynes, the wily veteran.
Yeah, they
with
look
his
like
41st career interception.
Looked like a mugging going on over there, though. I'm just not sure who was mugging whom. Was it Haynes or Brooks, or the other way around? The Colts and Ron Meyer and Gary Hogeboom, look at the anger on his face. They think Brooks was interfered with.
Ladies and gentlemen, Raiders Spanish language game broadcast originate on KGNQ.
We've got a timeout, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Follow the color and excitement of Raider football in Spanish with Jorge Berry and better recovery.
There might have been a play at the line of scrimmage that was audible or something. It looked like he was confused what the pattern was going to be, but it does appear that the Colts have a point with their argument. It seemed that Mike Haynes had his left arm all over Billy Brooks for the moment.
And Brooks also had a little face masking that also wasn't seen. Plunkett throws over the middle to Todd Christensen. Gain of 6. The reaction of Hogeboom.
Yeah, he was not a happy man here at all. It looked like it might have been just a delay pattern. That's what Brooks was doing down there, walking off the line of scrimmage. But Hogeboom was looking the entire time at Brooks and Haynes, and he went right to the ref. He was arguing the same way, and it did appear that Mike Haynes had his left hand full of Billy Brooks's jersey.
So Hogeboom, in reality, completed 9 in a row.
Yeah, just that the last one was to the wrong.
And so the first one was 2. He threw the interception, 7 in a row to his own teammates, and then another interception. Here's Plunkett. First down. He caught it at the 43-yard line. Mark Patterson, the receiver. John Holt was there for the defense. And it's a first down for the Raiders.
Progress is spotted to the 43-yard line.
Nice play by Patterson, coming back to the line of scrimmage, back to Plunkett to make the reception.
Plunkett with a hot hand, 9 of 13, 138 yards.
He's been getting the protection, too, from his offensive line. The last 2 weeks, this reshuffling of the offensive line. A week ago, he was sacked once, but he tripped over his center, Mosbar, for the only sack of the afternoon. They have been doing the job in protecting Jim Plunkett.
And here's Marcus Allen from the 43 to the 46. So he has 3, and it's going to be 2nd down and 7.
The Raiders seem to have a formula for the type of player that they want. They have the big, strong offensive tackles and guards. For example, Bruce Davis now when they're at 6'6", 280. You go back to Shell when he was an all-pro for the Raiders, and Gene Upshaw. Big, large offensive linemen. Strong, fast wide receivers. The speed is the most important thing they look for. That's why they took Hester a couple of years ago as their first-round choice.
Plunkett, it is knocked away. Good defensive play by Dwayne Bickett, who was the Associated Press NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year last year.
The Colts have been going after defense in the drafts, as we mentioned. That in order to pick Bickett, who was the 5th player selected in that draft, they passed up Eddie Brown, that speed wide receiver we've been talking about they're needing. But they do think defense is the way to go, and there you see Bickett with a nice play to bat the ball away from Jim Plunkett.
Third down and 7. Plunkett back, has pressure. And I believe that they're going to rule a fumble. And recovered by Mosbar, the center. As Harvey Armstrong was there for the Colts.
So just as we talk about this offensive line protecting Plunkett, Armstrong gets to him, a clean shot, and there was the fumble. Mosbar alertly jumping on it to capture it for the Raiders.
First sack of the ball game for the Colts. That means that Ray Guy will be kicking. Injury report, Donnell Thompson, a right ankle, will not return. Randy McMillan, a rib injury, could return, but probably will not. This is the 207th consecutive game for Ray Guy, who has now punted more than 25 miles. The deep back on the return, Bill Brooks taking it out of bounds. We've got a timeout, and we'll be back in a moment. 4:32, that is the time remaining in the first half. And the score, the Raiders 17, the Colts 3. And Indianapolis has the ball on their own 21-yard line. First down. Pretty good move, and he picks up the first down.
And another good block by Chris Hinton coming back from his guard position in order to make that block on the corner. The move for Hinton from tackle to guard has really been productive for the Colts this afternoon.
And one of the things that we talked about earlier was the fact that you simply do not want to get hurt in a game like this, and you were involved in something that happened when
just one time in my career were we out of it with the Dolphins, and Kim Bocamper, an all-pro defensive end and linebacker, was injured the last day when he had this great ski trip planned for months and months and months. They're going to Vail, so instead of skiing down the slopes, he was busy getting cut on, and missed quite a time for himself.
Bentley will be dropped back at the 30-yard line. Now, what I really want to know with that story, after a loss of 3 here, is what about all the other people that were planning to go on the ski trip? Did they go ahead without him?
No, they had to stay and watch his rehabilitation.
Oh, no.
See, the problem is if you're injured on the last day, it takes you 6 months to rehabilitate an injury or so, and so you're booked full SCO from the time you're injured. And you know, that's part of the game, though. You're willing to go out and sacrifice and be injured and all the things that require to be a good football player. But it's just so difficult to go through a whole year of being healthy and on the last day of the year to become injured.
Second and 13. Bentley again out to the 35-yard line. James Davis with the tackle, a gain of 5, so it's going to be 3rd down and 8. I have a feeling most of my friends would have gone skiing and said, so long, we'll send you a postcard, you know, you're on your own. Discuss it with the doctor.
Discuss it with the doctors. Right? Sometimes the parking lots in these last day of the games, it looked like a U-Haul parking lot. They're all back there. They're all packed up. The only question is, do I have enough gas to get all the way back to Pennsylvania or Texas?
3rd down and 8. Hogeboom left flat, and it is Bentley, and Bentley has the first down. As he is outside the 45 to the 47-yard line. 12 yards on the play.
Albert Bentley is an interesting story. A walk-on at the University of Miami, came up and wound up as a high selection in the USFL draft and did very well for himself coming over to the Colts.
And the 2-minute warning will now be delivered to both benches. 2 to go in the first half, and the Raiders lead by 14. We'll be back in just a moment.
The luxury suite office is open for your convenience and obtaining information about the Raiders luxury suites. The office is located in a trailer near Tunnel.
All right, we stay here because we thought they were going to take the count all the way down to the 2-minute warning. Instead, a timeout was called at 2:01 So what you do offensively, it gives you sneak in another play, and it's only going to cost you about 5 or 6 seconds because the warning, the 2-minute warning, will come at the end of this play.
In essence, you get the extra timeout. That's absolutely right. They want to get another touchdown back on the board and get some points out of it. Good field position, as you mentioned earlier. The entire first half, they've been starting deep in their own territory. Here, they're in a good position to get a score, and so they want to get the extra timeout by calling it at the 2:01 mark. Now they run one play off, the 2-minute warning comes, and they can go back to the bench again after this play and discuss their strategy.
And the big play receiver for the Indianapolis Colts is Billy Brooks, 4 receptions for 56 yards on the year, 63 receptions now for 1,102 yards. And this is who you expect him to go to.
Well, he is their big play receiver. In fact, coming into today's game, of his 59 catches, 44 of them were for first downs. So in critical third down situations, they like Bill Brooks.
You were talking about the U-Hauls and the trailers already. I remember several years ago when the Raiders were still in Oakland and they were playing at Frank Ewell Field, so that goes back quite a way. Cotton Davidson was the quarterback out of Texas. And he played the last game with his jeans and his sweatshirt on underneath the uniform. Came in, took the uniform off, rolled the jeans down, put on the boots, got in the pickup truck, and headed for Texas.
And it's never been seen since.
Oh, he was quite a guy. First down for the Colts at their own 47-yard line. Little play action fake by Hogeboom, pump fake, and then he throws, and it is incomplete. Matt Booza, the intended receiver, and now the official 2-minute warning will be given to both benches at the time remaining of 1:55 left to go in the first half. And the score, the Los Angeles Raiders 17, the Indianapolis Colts 3. We'll be back once again to the Coliseum in Los Angeles.
2-minute warning on the field.
Albert Bentley on your left from the University of Miami and Matt Millen on your right from Penn State will have a vested interest on the game on January 2nd. So start your new year out right with NBC Sports. And Charlie and I, along with Bob Greasy, will be the Fiesta Bowl in the battle for the national championship.
And Mark Boyer, brought down by James Davis. Gain of just a couple of yards on the play. And the national championship, #1 Miami against #2 the Nittany Lions of Penn State, January the 2nd, prime time, Tempe, Arizona. Boy, are we looking forward to that. That's going to be a great week and a great ball game. And flags are down as the pass is incomplete. Albert Bentley, the intended receiver. Here's a program note. Be sure to stay with us at halftime as Frank DeFord has a retrospective on the Orange Bowl, the last professional game scheduled tomorrow night. You must have some memories of the Orange Bowl.
Quite fond ones. I'm sorry to see the Orange Bowl go away as a professional side for the Dolphins, but they have a new stadium that will be ready for the opening of 1987.
I think my strongest memory is the first Orange Bowl.
Illegal hands, 63 offense. Illegal hands, 22 defense. Penalties offset, the red play. 3.
Mike Kirshner and Otis McKinney. Also, I guess, when I think of the Orange Bowl, I would think more of Super Bowl III. And that, of course, is when the American Football League reached parity, and Joe Namath, and all of a sudden everybody looked around the next day and they said, hey, they play pretty good football in the AFL.
1969, it really changed the entire format of professional football.
What was your biggest day in the Orange Bowl?
Well, my biggest memory, I didn't have very many big days. My biggest memory, though, was getting beat by the San Diego Chargers in one of the longest and best games in NFL history. That playoff game in which Kellen Winslow nearly single-handedly beat the Dolphins to go to that very frigid AFC Championship game against Cincinnati.
Oh, that was a great game. Hogeboom slips away and gets the pass off, and it is incomplete, I believe. Yes. Brooks, the intended receiver, Howie Long was putting the pressure on Hogeboom.
Hogeboom showing a lot of savvy today. He is a little bit banged up. It's been a long year for him with the injury, recuperating from the separated shoulder. And he's been down a couple of times today, but he's standing in there strong and going after it. He doesn't have the proverbial 1 foot in the parking lot. He wants to win this football game.
And Ron Stark with his second kick. His first one was a shabby kick, 37 yards. Fulton Walker, former teammate of yours, set for the return.
Nickname of Stump.
Stump.
Because of his size.
He's 5'11".
Maybe he tells everybody else he's 5'11", but Fulton isn't 5'11".
He's not 5'11".
If he's standing on a footstool, he's not 5'11".
How tall is he?
5'9", maybe 5'9.5".
Ooh, here's a good kick. Now that's more what you expect from the #1 kicker in the National Football League. 51 yards. That's better run. And so we'll have the touchback, and we'll bring it out to the 20-yard line with 1 minute and 12 seconds. That is the time remaining in the first half.
Now the Raiders with an opportunity to get some more points on the board. You have to wonder about Jim Plunkett, too. At 39 years of age, when is he going to decide that enough football is enough? If the Raiders do, in fact, go with a young quarterback in the draft, if they're able to get in and get somebody that they want, somebody they think there's a future, Jim Plunkett seems the obvious quarterback to stay here instead of Mark Wilson, because you want that old, crafty veteran to teach the young man that Mark Wilson would become probably the odd man out.
So he may be around for a while. Here's Marcus Allen. Pretty nice move, and he goes out of bounds at the 26-yard line.
Come on.
Daniel was there for the Colts. Come on. The officials know that it's the last game of the season. Let's just play football.
Well, it looked like they were dancing there for a while. Daniel swung him do-si-do, and then Allen went do-si-do one more time, and didn't seem anyone wanted to say goodbye. Yeah, swing your partner round and round.
I think maybe what happens there, you get hold of you start to lose your balance, you get hold of a jersey, then they pull back, and, you know, Chicago now leading Dallas by a score of 14-0. Doug Flutie, a 58-yard touchdown pass to Neil Armstrong? Neil Anderson. Second down and 4. And here's Marcus. And he is out to the 29-yard line. So he has 3. It's going to be third down and a yard to go. And the clock is stopped with 56 seconds. Gene Daniel and Nesby Glasgow make the tackle. We've got a timeout. And we'll be back in just a moment. Injury report on Kevin Call, offensive tackle for the Colts, has a bruised ankle. They're checking on it. And here is Marcus Allen. And he is turned away. And the Colts want to stop the clock. That was third down and 1. End up losing a yard, maybe 2 on the play. And the Colts now have 1 timeout remaining, but with fourth down coming, that means that Ray Guy will be kicking, and I would suspect that Indianapolis will send everybody and try and go for the block.
Yeah, with just 48 seconds remaining, and they only do have the 1 timeout. I think that's probably the strategy they'll try to employ. Rather than to set up the return with the 1 timeout, unless you break it big, you always try to save that 1 last timeout for the field goal, of course, and they may not have to. They close down the area of the field they can throw to. Only deep, out of the end zone, into the end zone, or along the sideline. So we would imagine they would try and go for the block.
And so we'll be looking at the second punt of Ray Guy. And you mentioned Jim Plunkett. Ray Guy may be coming near the end of his career, and what a great career it has been. A #1 draft choice back in 1973, the first time that a punter had ever been taken first in the draft out of southern Mississippi. We mentioned earlier he's punted now for more than 25 miles. And he slipped a bit. He's now tied for 19th in the National Football League for a man that led it for so many times for so many years.
And Ron Stark, kind of the heir apparent to the throne of a Ray Guy, because Stark, as you mentioned, the leading kicker in the NFL, and appears to be able to do that year in and year out.
Here come the Colts with the pressure, but he gets it off. And Brooks on the return. The 40 goes out of bounds at the 42-yard line. So 43 yards on the kick by Ray Guy, 8 yards on the return. 40 seconds remaining, plenty of time, and 1 timeout remaining for the Colts. And if they want to play the short field, they only need to pick up around 25 to 30 yards to be within field goal range for Dean Biasucci.
Now they're going in the other direction. When Biasucci kicked the 52-yarder, they were going to our left. Now it'll be in the opposite direction. The wind may be against them in that sense.
Checking the flags, and there seems to be a little breeze, but not a lot. And so let's see what the Colts can do from their own 42-yard line. Almost intercepted at the 45-yard line by James Davis. Mark Boyer, the tight end, the intended receiver.
And nearly a big mistake by Hogeboom. He just has to throw that out of bounds. No one was open along the sideline. He's just wasting time here. You don't have anyone open with 40 seconds left and 1 timeout remaining. Get rid of it. Get out of bounds. You're not going to pick up but a few yards in this situation, and nearly caused the interception.
2nd and 10. 34 seconds. That is the time remaining. No touchdown passes, but 2 interceptions. And this is Billy Brooks. Brooks to the 40 and out of bounds. With 26 seconds left, a gain of 19 on the play. For Brooks, 5 for 75 yards.
One more time, it's man-to-man, and it's Mike Haynes who gets beat. He starts inside on the pattern and then back out to the corner, and Haynes, usually with the great speed, does not have enough to catch up to Brooks on the corner.
So they only need, 5 to 10 yards for Dean Biasucci to have a go at it this way. Bentley gets the call, and he'll pick up 2, maybe 3. I don't understand
No,
that.
that's a highly unusual call there. They're going to be forced to use the timeout, and they are. And now with 20 seconds left, 17 seconds.
I don't understand.
No, I don't. Now they do not have the timeout available to get their field goal team on the field. They only can go to the sideline, and if somebody gets caught inside, they lose the 3 points.
What perhaps they were hoping was the element of surprise to run inside, get it in the neighborhood of the 30-yard line, then take the countdown, timeout, and go for it and kick it then.
Yeah, but under these circumstances, if you throw the football, if you got an opportunity for a touchdown in that situation.
Yeah.
If you run it, you get tackled at the 20-yard line, the only thing you get out of it is a field goal.
Yeah.
And you got to hope that he's going to break something from 40 yards out for the touchdown.
And earlier, as we mentioned, Dean Biasucci with that 52-yarder matching his career longest, which was earlier this year, 52 yards.
Just last week against Buffalo.
Yeah. Well, that's earlier this year. I'm still stunned by that call. Maybe they thought they had another timeout remaining. I don't know. No, I don't think so. They would have known that. Now they're out of timeouts. And the ball is at the 38-yard line, and it's 2nd down.
If you look on the other side of the field, they do, Charlie, have their kicking team assembled over there just in case to get them on the field and try to make the kick. But that is a tough thing to do with just 17 seconds remaining.
A little timing pattern is incomplete to Brooks, and he gets a pass interference call. I believe it'll go on Sam Seal. Let's wait and see. But that's going to be an automatic first down at that spot, and that, of course, stops the clock.
Well, one of the reasons that Hogeboom's going over is because you don't want to lay a receiver out like that downfield when you know there's a safety coming over. This is the kind of pass a receiver hates because McElroy is on his way. It is like getting hit with a baseball bat. What a shot.
There's Stacy Turan, the second Raider in.
Hogeboom runs over and says,
43 defense, first down.
Interference call on Sam Seal, so it's a 16-yard penalty.
what a shot on the part of Turan, but Hogeboom runs over to find out if his receiver is all right.
And that was a legal shot.
It appered to be from this angle. Now with just a few seconds left, 13 seconds ago, they do get the timeout so they can go over because of the penalty and discuss it on the sideline one more time, or at least get a play in from the bench.
So with the penalty, the ball at the 22-yard line, 13 seconds. Into the end zone, and it is intercepted, but out of the end zone, Stacy Turan came down with the ball. And now with 6 seconds remaining, the field goal team comes in. And the ball is marked ready for play. And that starts the 30-second clock. .40 yards on the attempt. And Biasucci has hit from 52 in this ballgame with yardage to spare. Ron Stark is the holder. Donaldson is the snapper. A flag is down. The kick is through the uprights, but there's a marker on the play.
Penalty flag on the field.
Offsides against the Raiders, the preliminary signal. So the Colts, I am sure, will take the field goal. And the 3 points.
Offside. 45. Points are good.
And so it is halftime. And the score, the Raiders 17, Indianapolis 6. This is Charlie Jones and Jimmy Cefalo. A second half still to come. NFL 86 halftime activities will continue in a moment after these messages from your local station.
You're watching the Raiders-Colts game. Bob Costas with Paul McGuire and Ahmad Rashad. The Raiders, with the help of that Jerry Robinson interception return for a touchdown, leading it 17-6 at halftime. For those who might not know, regardless of what the Colts do today, Tampa Bay, finishing at 2-14, has the #1 draft pick in the league this year. If the Colts should also lose and be 2-14, Tampa, which had a weaker overall schedule, will be awarded that #1 pick. The Bears have received 2 first-half touchdown passes from Doug Flutie. He just hit Willie Gault from 33 yards. Earlier, he threw a 58-yarder to Neil Anderson, and the Bears lead at Dallas 21-0 just before halftime. Earlier today, Cincinnati spotted the Jets a 7-0 lead on the opening kickoff, trailed 21-14 late in the second quarter, then shut the Jets down, and the Bengal Tiger roared to a 52-21 win. Here's the way it began. The Jets had serious hopes of snapping their 4-game losing streak. Bobby Humphrey takes the opening kickoff, goes 96 yards for a touchdown. The Jets lead 7-0. But in the third quarter, Boomer Esiason comes to life for the Bengals. He throws 3 third-quarter touchdown passes, 5 TD passes all told for the game. Watch him evade the rush on this one. He hits Rodney Holman as he's falling down. Holman is wide open. This is the TD that gives the Bengals the lead for keeps. They were in front 24-21 after that, and they just pour it on. Chris Collinsworth here. Esiason firing deep over Russell Carter. 42 yards for the touchdown. 52-21 is the way it winds up as Esiason throws for 5. Over to Ahmad.
You know, the most disappointing thing about the Jets is that for a professional athlete, all you want is a chance to get in the playoffs. They've had a chance for 5 weeks, and they haven't responded. It's just, it's incredible the way they've played the last 5 weeks, and they got 1 week to solve that puzzle.
But they're in the playoffs. With a 5-game losing streak, they are at the very least a wild card. They've gone from 10-1 to 10-6. And the Bengals have playoff hopes. We'll explain all of that in just a moment. But first, let's go to something that is a certainty, and that is that Kansas City has cinched a wild card. They're in postseason play for the first time since 1971, back in the Hank Stram era. Here we see Manute Bol posing as an official in the stands at Three Rivers, but he couldn't help the Steelers in the first half. The Chiefs' special teams with a story. Punt by Harry Newsome blocked into the end zone. Deron Cherry recovers. Chiefs touchdown. They lead 7-0. The score was 10-3 in favor of Kansas City following a Gary Anderson field goal when Anderson's kickoff was taken by Boyce Green, and he goes 97 yards for the touchdown that makes it 17-3. But those special teams weren't done yet. It was 17-6 Kansas City. Final seconds of the second quarter. Anderson lines up for a field goal that could cut it to 17-9, and it's blocked by Bill Moss. Here comes Lloyd Burris, defensive back and special teams player. He picks it up and goes 78 yards for the touchdown. The Chiefs led 24-6 at the half. Then they withstood a late Steeler rally, and they win at 24-19 to sew up a wild card berth. By the way, the victories by the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs today officially eliminate the Seattle Seahawks. Let's tip our caps to Frank Gans, who is the special teams coach for the Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs feel that Frank Gans is probably the best special teams coach in the league, and today might have just proved it. They were just superb. And you know, when you look at a team like Kansas City struggling with the offense, the defense is playing well, and you get that kind of play out of your special teams, Bobby, it really picks your team up going into the playoffs.
And you're not even gloating about the Jets.
No.
You called it. You said 5 weeks ago they wouldn't win another game for the rest of the year. They immediately went on a 5-game losing streak.
And what I talk about, the shocker is the offense just went down the tubes. We knew the defense was bad, but when the offense goes, they have a major problem.
Okay, we got to move along. Washington scored 3 times in the fourth quarter after trailing 14-0 at Philadelphia, so they go into the playoffs at 12-4 and on a winning note. They prevailed 21-14. Jay Schrader threw 2 touchdown passes to tie it, then led the winning drive. He hooks up with Ricky Sanderson on a 41-yarder, Ricky Sanders, I should say, 41-yarder to set up this play. George Rogers running 5 yards for a touchdown with 2.5 minutes remaining. He just bulls through the last several tacklers, and that wins it for the Redskins 21-14. Cleveland is 12-4. That's the best record in the AFC. They have home field advantage in that conference throughout after pounding San Diego 47-17. Ozzie Newsome caught a pass in the 114th consecutive game for him. Watch this play in the first quarter. Bernie Kosar hands to Herman Fontenot. Fontenot will throw to the rookie Webster Slaughter. The Chargers forget all about him. Easy 46-yard touchdown and a 7-0 lead. Now, with time running out in the first half, the Chargers secondary falls asleep again. That celebration ends, and we move on to the play I'm talking about here. Kosar scrambles away from trouble, hits Brian Brennan, and nobody touches him. So he bounces right back off the ground and goes in for a touchdown. It was ruled a score in the last 6 seconds of the half. Dan Fouts is going to try and pass on this play, and watch. A peculiar play. Here comes the flag, and it hits Reggie Camp right in the face. Fortunately, although he was shaken up, he was not seriously hurt. Not a serious injury for Reggie Camp. You know, those officials' flags have a little weight on the end of them in case it's a windy day to force it down to the ground. I've never seen that happen before, right into the face of Reggie Camp. But that was about the only thing that the Browns had to complain about today as they win 47-17. Now they have the next week off, and they're home against anybody they might face as long as they're alive in the AFC playoffs. Minnesota gets 3 touchdown passes from Wade Wilson. They end on a high note, beating the Saints 33-17. Vikings 9-7 for the year. The Falcons, in Jeff Van Note's final game, win at Detroit 20-6. Houston defeats Buffalo 16-7, and the Cardinals over Tampa Bay 21-17 as Vi Sikahema, the rookie kick return man from Brigham Young, ran back 2 punts for Cardinal touchdowns. They survived 3 missed field goals by Eric Schubert, who missed his last 7 in a row to end the season. So Tampa, as we said, at 2-14, has that first-round draft choice regardless of how the Colt-Raider game turns out. Now, the next step, the wild card games, a week from today. In the NFC, cut and dry, Rams play the Redskins at RFK. In the AFC, a couple of possibilities. If the Patriots win tomorrow night at Miami, they are AFC East champs. They get a first-round bye. The Jets would be wild cards, and the Jets would host Kansas City in the wild card game at the Meadowlands. If the Patriots lose tomorrow night, then they are completely out of the playoff picture. The Jets become the champions of the AFC East. And despite a 5-game losing streak, they get a first-round bye. Cincinnati then qualifies for the playoffs. They would go on the road to take on the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. And we'll continue with NFL 86 halftime activities following these messages from your local stations.
Christmas now. How do you like that? A Raider Claus.
In black and silver. I never,
That's right.
Never thought
Now,
I'd see the day.
at halftime, Frank DeFord talked about, reminisced about the Orange Bowl, and you have another thought.
A lot of thoughts about it. I was working for the CBS affiliate there in Miami, and standing on the sideline in that great game between BC and the University of Miami when both Bernie Kosar and Doug Flutie threw more than 400 yards and the miraculous toss from Flutie for the touchdown to Phelan in the end zone. I was standing right next to the Miami bench waiting for the game to end, and as the ball was released, you heard some of the Miami players saying, "No. Oh, no. No."
But I'm watching it, too.
Dead silence as it ended when the touchdown on that side of the field. I think they were all in shock.
But what could happen this year or this season?
Well, if Cleveland goes to the Super Bowl along with the Chicago Bears, you would have those very two same quarterbacks who first meeting between the two since that miraculous day in Miami in that Orange Bowl. One of my favorite memories of that.
All right, and now one of my favorite memories here in the Coliseum is the kickoff of the second half. We call that a segue in the business, and that was Kenny Daniel who returned the kickoff for the Indianapolis Colts. And now let's look at the numbers in the first half.
Well, surprisingly, the Colts with 13 first downs, and they are catching up in total yards and surpassed the Raiders. Early on, it was a big advantage in favor of L.A. Turnovers, though, the Colts with 2, the Raiders with 1. Napoleon McCallum with the fumble down on the goal line, preventing the Raiders from going in for yet another score.
And for Indianapolis, they have the ball at their own 20-yard line, first down. Hogeboom on the pitch to Albert Bentley. A flag is down.
Handoff to Albert Bentley.
And a gain of around 7 on the play, maybe 8, but there was a marker, and Reggie McKenzie makes the tackle for the Raiders. And Mark Wilson is loosening up on the sideline for the Raiders. I don't know if he is just loosening up or if he may come in the second half. And here's another look at Albert Bentley.
93 defense, penalties decline, second down.
Well, how's this for a thought? Is he on the sideline loosening up to show? Well, Hilger is also loosening up. But will Wilson loosen up to find out if there's a trade in the offing during this offseason to show everyone that he's indeed healthy and ready to go and ready to play, kind of showcase the talent?
What was the time on it?
That's interesting. Interesting observation. Gain of 8. Second down and 2. A nice run by Bentley, and here he comes again. Doesn't quite get around the corner, as Sam Seal was there to make the play at the 29-yard line. So
what a block.
Third down and 1.
What an incredible block by Chris Hinton, though. He knocked 2 Raiders over. Again, the pulling guard from the offside just knocked 2 people over completely. Unfortunately for the Colts, though, it was the cornerback Sammy Seal coming up to make the tackle.
And Carl Baldischweiler, number 72 for the Colts, a little slow getting up, and now being assisted from the field of play. And of course, if he comes out, this will simply go as an injury timeout and not as a charge timeout.
1987 league home schedule is expected to include a visit to the Coliseum.
Baldischweiler drafted by the Dolphins in 1978, traded that same year to Detroit, and then eventually to the Colts.
AFC Western Division opponents. For 1987 season ticket.
Third down and 1.
Just call right for visit the Raider ticket office.
We're the opening minute of the second half. The Raiders on top of the Colts 17-6. There is the first down. He'll go all the way. Bentley out in front. 70 yards on a 3rd and 1.
On a touchdown.
And Albert Bentley in for the injured Randy McMillan. The Colts have not had a back to go over 100 yards today, but Bentley has an amazing shot at it now, and he takes the hit up the middle. Nobody wraps him up. He only gets touched once en route to a 70-yard touchdown run. Now watch the speed of someone coming from the backside. I'm not sure it was. It's Van McElroy at the end. Nearly catches Bentley, but 70 yards a long way to go. He got a shot one time from the middle of the defensive line. That was Stacy Tarr, number 30, who got the hit on him, and he does go over the 100-yard mark. For the first time, a Colt running back all season long.
And now the extra point attempt by Dean Biasucci. It is up. It is good. Injury report on Randy McMillan. Bruised ribs. He won't return. They may not need him. Bentley has pulled the Colts back in the ballgame.
Today's game is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. To arrange a thorough test drive, phone your nearest BMW dealer. By Nikon, we take the world's greatest pictures. And by AT&T, the right choice.
Plunkett and Hilger, and looks as if Rusty may come in, replacing Plunkett, who finished up the first half completing 10 of 15 for 141 yards and a touchdown. As Dean Biasucci kicks off with Mueller and Adams, the deep backs. And it is Stephon Adams on the return. And he is collared at about the 20-yard line by Orlando Lowry. And it is going to be Rusty Hilger at quarterback for the Raiders. This year he has completed only 4 of 8 passes. No touchdowns, 1 interception. Rusty Hilger has been sacked 1 time, and he has rushed 1 time for 16 yards. 6'4", 205 pounds. Played his collegiate ball at Oklahoma State. And he opens up with a handoff to Marcus Allen. Marcus has 6 yards to the 26, second down and 4 as Glasgow makes the tackle. If I was a young quarterback coming into a ball game, I think I'd like to hand off to Marcus Allen on the first play.
Oh, I think I'd like to hand off to him. Yeah, that's right. All afternoon long. A nice position for Rusty Hilger, though. He can only come out here in this situation and win the football game for the Raiders and get some confidence under his belt to possibly come and challenge for a starting spot next year on this club.
Or are they showcasing a talent?
That's a possibility, too.
Hilger fires as a man open, and he overthrows Marcus Allen. Gene Daniel had the coverage, but he was there, and he couldn't get the ball to him. He 3rd down and 4.
Yeah, he had Allen wide open along the sideline, sneaking out of the backfield. They got a nice man-to-man hook up there, and anytime you get Marcus Allen against just about anybody man-to-man, you like that situation. Hilger probably wishes that he could turn the clock back just about a minute and a half so he could throw that one more time.
As a wide receiver, as a running back coming out of the backfield, when you're that wide open and they miss you by that far, it's kind of discouraging, isn't it?
Well, it is discouraging. You work so hard to get open, but it goes the other way, too. You get open sometimes and you drop the football, so it goes both sides.
3rd down and 4. Hilger to throw, has pressure. Over the middle, it's complete. 31-yard line. It'll be a 1st down. And the pushing and shoving is starting now downfield. And that is Kenny Daniel and Marcus Allen. It's going to be a 1st down at the 31-yard line. I mentioned the statistics of Rusty Hilger. 4 of 8 coming into the ballgame. His other appearance was at Seattle when the Raiders were blown out in that ballgame.
That was just 2 weeks ago on that Monday night where they were beaten 37-0, was it?
Here's Marcus. It's the 2nd time that he has been sweeping to the right side at the last couple of minutes of the first half, and he's lost yardage.
Well, he was hoping to get a block from number 77, Chris Rhyme, and he just didn't get it out there on the corner.
Loss is 6. 2nd down and 16. Leonard Coleman, strong safety. Not only at left corner, but playing strong safety in this game, is the man who makes the play.
That 77 Rhyme, there he is trying to throw the block on the corner, misses completely, and that forces Marcus to back up just a little bit and lose some yardage. Number 31, Leonard Coleman, getting the penetration to prevent that from getting turned upfield.
2nd down. Todd Christensen pulls it away from Leonard Coleman.
Todd Christensen may have the best hands in the entire NFL. He just does not drop the football. If you throw it anywhere in his vicinity, he seems to come up with the catch. Yeah, he's not the greatest blocker in the world. Hey, but he's the leading receiver in the NFL. You don't need a great blocker. He's tough after a catch, a former fullback. And for my money, a possession receiver, there's none better in the NFL than Todd Christensen.
3rd down and 8. His 4th consecutive Pro Bowl selection this year. And Hilger to throw with 4 on the pattern as pressure scrambles out. A front flag is down. He's got the 1st down. He's down at the 46-yard line. The marker dropped at the 48. If it stands, it's good for 13 yards. Eugene Daniel made the tackle.
Eugene Daniel brought him down. Penalty flag upfield.
Ron Meyer, the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. It is against the Colts.
Holding. 31 off defense. 1st down.
That's Leonard Coleman.
One of the reasons for the holding was that Nesby Glasgow was blitzing on the play, number 25, the safety. And because of that, you have a little bit more pressure on your defensive backs downfield. There you see Glasgow coming to the left of your screen, getting tied up in action. But nice athletic ability on the part of Hilger. He'll learn to fall down on the ground right about now and not get smacked by 2 or 3 Colts. That'll come with a little bit more experience, though.
The penalty added on to the end of the run takes the ball to the Colt 48-yard line. Foley McCallum in the backfield. Swing pass left flat to McCallum is incomplete. Dwayne Bickett was there, and it'll be 2nd down and 10 for Los Angeles at the Indianapolis 48-yard line.
It's Hilger leading McCallum a little bit too far downfield. As a receiver coming out of the backfield, you want to be stationary when you catch that pass. especially when there's man-to-man coverage, and just a little bit too far for McCallum.
Fumble. And the Colts have the ball.
Recovered by the Colts.
So Marcus Allen continues to be plagued by fumbles as the Raiders the most turnovers in the National Football League. It was Cliff Odom for the Colts. We've got a timeout. I will be back in a moment.
Here's the fumble. Now, Hilger does not get the ball into the pocket of Marcus Allen when he puts his arms in that formation. It's called a pocket from a running back. First time I ever played running back is junior high school. The quarterback came over to me and said, "Where was your pocket?" I said, "Gee, there's none on these pants." I had no idea what he was talking about.
Oh, I love it.
In that particular situation, I don't think Hilger just found the pocket of Marcus Allen. Thus the fumble.
Albert Bentley, 7 fumbles this season, 5 rushing touchdowns, and 4 fumbles for Marcus in the last 3 home games. And this, of course, is the Coliseum where he played his collegiate ball for the University of Southern California. So he's used to the field. It's not that. Gain of a yard, 2nd down and 9. Where are the pocket? Where's your pocket? Oh, I love that.
They have to teach me how to form a pocket. That's why I became a wide receiver, I guess.
2nd and 9. Bentley to the left side.
There he goes again.
Corner. He stepped out at the 39-yard line and pulled it. Flags are in the air. And something has to be going on. Jerry Robinson is over there, and James. Something's got to be going on. These are 2 teams that are going home for the holidays. And why would something like this develop?
Well, I think there's a lot of frustration, though. We talking, kid, about 1 foot of the parking lot. The U-Haul is parked outside, but these are professional athletes who want to win a football game, who want to be known as the best in their profession, want to make to the playoffs, want to go to the Super Bowl.
Personal foul, 26, Indianapolis, 45, Raiders, 3rd down.
Now, I must tell you something. Now, I disagree with that kind of a call. And I disagree with offsetting penalties in those kind of situations because it's almost a carte blanche to get away with it.
Yeah,
you do it and I do it, and the thing.
It condones it.
I mean, it condones it.
You swing at me, I'll swing at you, and we'll get it over with.
And we both get it over with, and there's no penalty. Let's hit somebody so we can stop this. You know, usually somebody else starts it and steps away.
Well, let's see how this all started. Watch 66. That's Ron Solt. Now, no action there. Well, there's a little bit of an extra push about 2 yards out of bounds, as a matter of fact.
That's very illegal, and that could get the whole thing started. And that should be where the penalty should be assessed against him.
Yeah.
And they'll stop that. Otherwise, offsetting penalties, that's always bothered me.
In those situations, though, I always think when there's a personal foul and a penalty that is not as severe, you should always take and mark off the personal foul, and they've done that in the past. In that situation, though, you're absolutely right. I think somebody needs to be called about it. The offsetting does not do it.
Even if you're wrong, call it.
Well, no, I don't know about that.
I didn't say no. Erase that. Happy holidays. Erase that. Right. Hogeboom over the middle. It is pulled down. Inside the 20-yard line is Pat Beach as he picks up 20 yards to the 19-yard line where Van McElroy makes the tackle, and the Colts are on the move. Earlier today, Cincinnati defeated the Jets. Kansas City made the playoffs by downing Pittsburgh 24-19. Washington defeated Philadelphia by 7. San Diego lost to Cleveland. Cleveland with a home field advantage as long as they stay in the playoffs. Minnesota wins and Atlanta wins. Houston with a victory over Buffalo. Tampa Bay loses, and they win with Vinny Testaverde as the #1 draft choice. And here is Bentley. And Bentley to the 15-yard line. Bob Irsay, who is the owner of the Indianapolis Colts, and a chance to visit with him before the game. What kind of players do you want to find on the Christmas tree?
All winners. I think I just looked at the score that Tampa's winning 21-7. but at the same time, you know, we'd like to get Vince. At the same time, I want to thank my quarterbacks here, but we want to get ourselves a little more defense, a little more offense. And one of the best players that we think that we get out of the draft this year is in Alabama. We're looking for him.
Of course, that linebacker you referred to at Alabama is Cornelius Bennett, the Lombardi Trophy winner.
The reception and the touchdown, Mark Boyer. The Colts in front, 14 yards. And for Boyer from USC in Huntington Beach, California, his first touchdown of the season.
He's working against number 56, Jeff Barnes, and you always like that mismatch. Pat Beach is known as a receiving tight end, not much of a blocker, but going against Jeff Barnes, a linebacker, that's a good matchup as far as the offense is concerned. And here he simply outleaps him because Barnes does not see the ball until right at the very end. A nice acrobatic catch on the part of Boyer for the score.
And here is the extra point attempt. Stark to hold. Dean Biasucci, it's up, it is good. And the Indianapolis Colts are in front of the Los Angeles Raiders by a score of 20-17.
The score, Indianapolis Colts 20.
40-yard field goal. And, of course, his 2 successful extra point attempts is kicking off. High and very short. And it is fielded at the 18-yard line by Mueller. And he is stopped at the 23. Before the ball game today, representatives from the USS New Jersey, just completing 6 months at sea and now stationed at Long Beach. McCallum, a member of the U.S. Navy, also stationed at Long Beach and a graduate of the Naval Academy.
On the Peleliu.
And the pass to the far side from Hilger to Rod Barksdale. So Hilger now has completed 3 out of 5. Johnny Cooks was there for the defense. And they're very good. Are you beginning to get the holiday spirit yet?
I'm starting to. I'd say after 6 months at sea.
Every day's a holiday.
A lot of time to practice on board, I'll tell you that. Hilger and Barksdale, we may be looking at a real combination of the future for the LA Raiders.
Frank Hawkins gets the call. It was 2nd down and 1 after that pickup of 9. And he's got the first down. Harvey Armstrong makes the tackle. Speaking of Christmas, what's on your wish list for underneath your Christmas tree?
Underneath my Christmas tree? An 8 o'clock a.m. wake-up call.
That's right. For those of you that aren't early risers, and count me amongst you, Jimmy goes to work at 3:15 a.m. Monday through Friday in New York. Does an outstanding job on Sunrise. That's a tough time to go to work at 3:15.
That's why I want that 8 o'clock
wake-up call. I like it. Marcus Allen scrambles to the 41-yard line. And the reason that I know he goes to work at that time is because I live on the West Coast, and when it's just past midnight, I call to make sure that he is successfully at work.
And to rub it in.
That's true. That is true. 6 minutes and 15 seconds and counting. We're in the 3rd quarter. The Colts leading the Raiders by 3, 20-17. Los Angeles with the ball at their own 40-yard line. 2nd down and 5. Fumble. Still another fumble. Flags are down. The Colts come up with the ball. Harvey Armstrong recovers his 2nd fumble. But there was a marker involved. Not a nice way to finish the season for Marcus Allen. Holding on the tight end, Todd Christensen. The Colts have the ball. 3 fumble recoveries for Indianapolis, and Harvey Armstrong has 2 of the 3.
It appears that Marcus Allen simply just dropped this football. Hilger, I think, got it on the money for the sweep. Let's find out and see if it wasn't on target. And it was. He just took his eye off it and looked upfield. There was good penetration up top. It just went off his knees, but Leonard Coleman had good penetration. It seems like he took his eye off the ball for a second and hit his knee, and thus the fumble recovery.
And the Colts at the Raiders' 32-yard line. Here is Bentley to the left. And he has 3 yards to the 29, second down and 7, as Jeff Barnes makes the tackle. Now, the Colts may have found something on the defensive right side of Los Angeles because they keep going that way.
They do. They like to keep pulling, hitting over that side, too. Excuse me, he's on the other side. No, they're pulling the off guards that way. But they are doing a good job on it. I don't know why they would run at that angle. That's Sean Jones over that side, who plays the run and the pass equally as well.
The Indianapolis Colts have scored 17 unanswered points. Roll left on the bootleg. Hilger. No, go out of bounds. Yeah. Goes out at the line of scrimmage at 29. Third down and 7 is Gary Hogeboom. The Colts have outscored their opposition 59-6 in the second half of the last 3 games. And Hogeboom, I think I miscalled the quarterback.
I think
on that reverse.
I don't think that was a planned play. I think the handoff was missed. It seemed like Bentley looked back as soon as Hogeboom took the ball out. I think he just missed the handoff on that play. I don't know if you want to have your quarterback running the football with a bad shoulder the last football game of the year.
Well, is it an automatic call when you miss on the handoff that you head on the bootleg to the far side?
No, that's up to the quarterback, whatever direction he wants to go in. But I would normally they tell the quarterback to follow the blocking of the play, continue to the right, go where the running back would have gone.
Third down and 7. Over the middle of the pass is complete. First down. Mark Boyer, who has scored a touchdown in the ballgame, has 19 yards to the 10-yard line. And a first down, converting on a 3rd and 7. And Boyer with 4 receptions, 37 yards, and that touchdown.
All right, here it is, wide open in the middle of the field. The Raiders play that man-to-man coverage. It seems that somebody made a mistake, though, because nobody was near him whatsoever. Mark Boyer, I don't know what kind of move he put on. That was outside of our screen, but whatever it was must have been a world-class move.
The ball at the 10-yard line. It is first down. And here's Bentley. And a flag is down at the line of scrimmage at 10 as Bentley goes to the 5. Jeff Barnes makes the stop. Number 71 in that offensive line for the Colts, Kevin Call, out earlier with an ankle injury. They took x-rays. They were negative, so they're just icing it down on the sideline.
Offside, 22 defense, first down.
Against the Raiders, 3rd worst in the National Football League in penalty yardage with 906, behind the Oilers and the Jets. Of course, those numbers going into this weekend of action. Albert Bentley of the Colts, number 20, 15 carries, 128 yards, and a touchdown. And he only had 189 yards rushing on the whole season. He may equal that today before this game is over.
He just might. The reshuffling of the offensive line of the Colts seems to work with Balderschweiler in there and hit moving over the guard.
First down at the 5-yard line. Here is Bentley. Line of scrimmage, and that's just about it. Lyndon King makes the tackle. So it'll be second down at that point. They'll call it the 4-yard line.
Let's take a look at the tight end blocking down the line of scrimmage. Number 84, Boyer, coming in motion. He's going to try to seal to the inside. Well, actually, he's pushing the linebacker, that's Lyndon King, outside. Not good enough in that particular case. That's why the play was shut down. Got to get a better block from Boyer.
Second down. Goal to go, 4-yard line. Stopping. If you're stopped for a second, it's okay. Hogeboom takes the timeout. Inside the 20-yard line, you've got to show that.
Three times. That's the situation. That's why the penalty.
Yep.
They called it before. They called the timeout before anything happened. But the rule on that is that you've got to show that double shift 3 times before you do it inside the 20-yard line. Maybe they had shown it before. Maybe Hogeboom simply got the timeout in before the official called the penalty.
But that wasn't a double shift. That was a mistake.
That was a mistake. Oh, yeah, but it turned into a double shift.
And covered up very well, so Hogeboom calling the timeout before the flag got in the air. And the clock is stopped with 3 minutes and 40 seconds. That is the time remaining in the third quarter.
Of course, in that double shift, someone has to set for a full second before the ball is snapped. You can't have 2 people go to motion at the same time unless you do double shift and then set back for 1 second before the ball is snapped.
George Allen dropped by the booth at halftime for a moment. I asked him, of course, he's involved with the President's Council on Physical Fitness, and I asked him how it was going, and he said, well, the President's been so busy recently, he won't accept my calls.
He's got more important things on his mind.
Yeah. Tonight, come home for the holidays. Oh, I love this one. Come home to NBC, starting with the NBC Sunday night movie. One of my favorites. Annie. Starring Carol Burnett, Bernadette Peters, Albert Finney. Oh, it's a classic. I got to hurry and drive home tonight to be sure to make that.
Oh, yeah, but the Amy Grant Christmas special.
Oh, well, the Amy Grant, but in between the Bob Hope Christmas special, were you a Kodak All-America on the Bob Hope Christmas special?
No.
You weren't. Oh, well, then forget it. I thought you might be. But for all of those that are this year, you can celebrate with them tonight on NBC. Annie.
You got to be nice. It's Christmas.
Bob Hope, Amy Grant, yes. Second down and goal to go. Little timing pattern, a leaping incomplete. Bill Brooks went up for it, couldn't quite pull it down. Sam Seal at 5'9". He went up there with him. Pretty good play.
Well, that's why you want to go after that. Sammy Seal on the corner. Obvious mismatch with the Seal just 5'9" tall. But he does make a nice recovery. He's got good coverage in the line of scrimmage. There he is, bottom part of your screen, 43. And Brooks just trying to make it a foot race to the corner and outleap Sammy Seal. But Brooks did not get up to the highest zenith, the highest point, and to pull it down. Seal a nice
Apex.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Apex.
Thank you very much.
That's all right. Lexicon is my business. On the draw. Here's Albert Bentley again. To the 3. And flags are flying, and so are players. And if we don't look out, this whole thing's going to get out of hand. And this has been simmering. This isn't something that's just happening now.
Somebody's got their helmet off down the bottom.
They're stomping grapes down there. Who's down there without a helmet?
Booza. That's Matt Booza down there.
Matt, you should always have your helmet on. And now the officials will...
Got your wish, Charlie. There's going to be a flag on this one.
Well, it just should be. You got to stop it. That's all.
We have offsetting fouls. 45 against the Raiders.
James Davis.
85 against Indianapolis.
Matt Boozer.
It's 4th down.
And it's 4th down. So nothing happens. Did you see that cartoon in USA Today of the 2 hockey players with high sticks going at each other? The official came over and said, what do you think this is, the NFL? All right, 3-yard line. And the only other game going on, Chicago leading Dallas 21-0. Doug Flutie is thrown for 2 touchdown passes.
Last time that the Dallas Cowboys and the LA Raiders did not, or the Raiders at that time, did not make the playoffs the same year, 1965.
Dean Biasucci from 20 yards away. And it is good. He adds 3 more points. The Colts are out in front, 23-17. We'll be back with a kickoff in just a moment. In front now by a score of 23-17. Ron Meyer, the head coach, should well be on his way to winning his 3rd in a row.
Yeah, they've scored 20 straight points. You'll probably see a lot of changes on both clubs next year. Obviously, with the Colts under a new head coach in Ron Meyer, a lot of changes will be taking place. I'm certain of that. And as well for the Raiders, that sign, the thing that impressed me most yesterday, the first time I'd ever gone to the Raider practice facility was yesterday, the big sign out front, a commitment to excellence. Right. Well, that simply has not been the case this year for them. them. And Al Davis and Tom Flores, hey, they're winners. And you can bet there'll be a lot of changes on this staff next year.
Adams and Mueller are the two deep backs on the return. The short kick is taken by Adams, and he's outside the 30 to the 32-yard line. And Dean Biasucci, the kicker. What's that? Hey, you know, kickers aren't supposed to be doing that, but he got involved. Oh, let's take a look at number 4.
Watch the end of this play. Now, he knocked his helmet, gets completely knocked. Nice tackle. My, what form. There goes the helmet. And there goes the lip, too. Yeah. Yeah,
oh, that's okay, though. I mean, if you're
I like that. That's a real player. That's a football player right there. That's not a kicker.
Well, we just alienated a lot of our audios, but that's all right. Hilger goes deep, has a man, hits him. It's Buckstill inside the 50. He got a step on Glasgow. About 55 yards, 65 yards. Woo!
Seeing something about the future. He's going to make a lot of people forget about the great wide receivers that have played here in the past. He just blows past a couple of people. Glasgow makes the catch right at the end, in between double coverage. The other thing about this play, a tremendous throw on the part of Hilger. Watch, right in between the quarterback and number 25, Glasgow. He had to thread it in between, and the speed of Barksdale is going to be respected in the future after some teams watch this footage. 4 for 153 yards.
And it was Eugene Daniel who's the cornerback. He went flying by him. Had about 3 quick steps on him. Barksdale's first 100-yard game as a professional. Of course, in his first 100-yard game ever, he didn't play high school or college ball. Hilger far corner, and it's going to be incomplete. Going to Mark Patterson. The coverage is going to be 2nd down and 10.
And you have to like the way Hilger stays in the pocket, too. He took a shot when he got rid of that last football. And here he stands and strong. Gets kicked right on the end.
That's a leg whip.
That's a leg. Nothing important. Though Harvey Armstrong, number 79, accidentally rolls over Hilger's leg there. Kicks him.
It's a leg whip.
No, that's not a leg whip.
That's not a leg whip?
No. That was an accidental roll into the shin of the quarterback.
2nd and 10. The crowd back in the ballgame. Colts lead by 6. Hilger drops this one off to Christensen. Dives for it. Does he get it? Yes! Touchdown! His 2nd of the ballgame. And for Rusty Hilger, that is his first touchdown pass of the year. 14 yards. And they're picking on Leonard Coleman.
And the Raiders needed that. They've played very sloppy football the last quarter and a half. And now with the young quarterback in, the fans here, they're acting like as if this is for the playoff spot, but it isn't. Hilger, the young quarterback, they've been yelling for him for a lot of this season after unproductive throwing on the part of Wilson and Plunkett's difficulty in sitting in the pocket. And Hilger getting a lot of confidence with that kind of a play today, both to Barksdale and then to Christensen for the touchdown.
Jamie Kimmel to snap. Mark Wilson to hold. Chris Barr to break the tie. It was not picture perfect, but it does count. And the Raiders are back in front by a score of 24-23 with 1 minute and 57 seconds left in the 3rd quarter.
All right, here's Hilger one more time. The play action fake. Yeah, he's staring right at where he wants to go, and that was to Christensen, but you can tell there's a touchdown coming. There you go. There it is. Yeah, he wanted to call it before he got the actual signal, but and then here's the political end of this touchdown pass. The quarterback and the receiver always saying, hey, good job. Yeah, you did it right. Okay, touchdown. We did it.
Speaking of the political end of that play, as a receiver, you always kind of schmooze with the quarterback.
Oh, yeah, that's the only gift I bought before Christmas Eve. I wanted to make sure the quarterback got it early. Yeah, he's your paycheck.
68-yard drive in 3 plays, you know. Do you like the locker next to the quarterback?
Always tried,
Always.
yeah.
Being part of his family.
Well,
group,
one thing about equipment, man, they can be bought as far as the lockers are concerned.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, he goes, hey, I need the locker next to Strock or Marino, and depends, it goes to the highest bidder on it.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No, I'm
There's
just
a little
kidding.
something inside. We didn't know this.
Just kidding.
No, I believe it. The kickoff taken by Kenny Daniel. Daniel to the 15, and he's down around the 18 or the 19-yard line. James Davis with the stop. And for Todd Christensen, his 90th reception of the year.
Yeah, and he had 92 a couple of years ago. He'll be trying to better his NFL best later this afternoon. The catch is one thing, an easy catch for him, but pulling into the end zone, carrying 2 players with him as he goes, that's the mark of a really fine receiver.
And if Christensen has 3 more receptions today, he sets a new NFL all-time record for tight ends, breaking the old record held by Todd Christensen. Hogeboom. Is that incomplete? Boyer, the intended receiver, is going to be incomplete. Rod Martin was there for the defense, as was Mitch Willis. Last 4 possessions for the Colts. Started at their 42, at their 21, 47. Los Angeles 32, field goal. Touchdown, field goal. And Hogeboom, 16 of 26, 186 yards. 1 touchdown. He's been intercepted twice. Colts been able to move the ball. Another classic understatement at this stage of the game. Here's a sack. He's in the grass. That is the 2nd sack for the Raiders. Greg Townsend got that one, so he now has 11 and a half.
Is this a schizophrenic football game or what? I mean, they're fighting on the sideline, now they're patting each other on the rump. It's like, hey, that was wonderful. This is the true meaning of in the grass. There's no question about this. Bottom of your screen, there he comes. Greg Townsend from the bottom. Now, this is definitely in the grass. No question about this. This is like Saturday Night Wrestling there.
Back at the 12-yard line, so it's 3rd down and 17. Now, if the Raiders hold here, then the Colts will be forced to punt, and of course Los Angeles got pretty good field position. Here's another one. Now, fumble recovered. Was he in the grass? He may have been in the grass before the fumble. He may have been in the grass before the fumble. If so, the Colts retain possession.
And that's going to be the call, Charlie. He marked back at the 4-yard line, though, and as you mentioned, Ron Stark will have to get quite a punt off to pin the Raiders back. There you see him for the bottom of your screen, Townsend, number 93. And also Sean Jones, number 99, getting in right at the end. He's definitely in the grass there, and the whistle was blown. Of course, that's to protect the quarterback. And he'll go against you sometimes and for you on occasion, but no question that he was in the grasp of Sean Jones.
And Ron Stark, the leading kicker of the National Football League, short, not a good kick at all. Fulton Walker will stay away from it, so it turns out to be pretty good for the Colts. It rolls for a total of 53 yards with no return. But still, the Raiders have pretty good field position at their own 44-yard line. And we have 34 seconds left to go in the 3rd quarter. Gary Hogeboom on the sideline for Indianapolis. The AFC wild card game will be next Sunday. And Kansas City will get home field advantage against the Jets or Cincinnati in the wild card, not against New England. To update that story, Napoleon McCallum. Just a couple of yards to the 46. It's going to be 2nd down and 8. We're going to mark it 2nd and 9 as we take the countdown to the end of the 3rd quarter. And that is it. The Los Angeles Raiders 24, the Colts 23 after 3. And we'll be back after these messages from your local station. This is Charlie Jones and Jimmy Cefalo. The Raiders with the ball at their own 45-yard line. And it's going to be 2nd down and 9. As we start the final quarter of this season for both of these ball clubs. And Los Angeles is on top by 1. Hilger, left flat. Frank Hawkins, and Hawkins out to the 50. Gain of 5 is going to be 3rd down and 4 as Dwayne Pickett makes the tackle. We talked about the wild card game on NBC next Sunday. Well, here's the situation there. As far as the playoffs, Cleveland, the Jets, Denver, Kansas City, they're all in the playoffs. Now, Monday night, New England plays at Miami. If New England wins, then they are in, and Cincinnati is out. If New England loses, Cincinnati is in, and New England is out. So what that means, if this is correct, that if New England wins and they win the division, the wild card will be the Jets of Kansas City.
At Kansas City.
At Kansas City. If New England loses, then Cincinnati will be the wild card. New England is out, and Cincinnati will be at Kansas City.
Correct.
Thank you. Hilger runs pretty well with the ball. He's to the 40-yard line. Of course, he has those fresh legs.
Yeah,
he hasn't been beat
right.
up this year.
He's got those fresh legs, and he wants to impress the fans and the coaching staff and the Colts, for that matter. You want to get that recognition from the other teams that you're a quarterback of the future, and because of that, he's not sliding down to get a first down. He's getting every extra yard by putting his shoulder down and trying to run somebody over when he scrambles.
He picks up 10 to the Colt 40-yard line and has the first down. Raiders leading by 1, 24-23. Los Angeles was on top by one time at 17-3, and then the Colts came back to move out in front 23-17, and then the Hilger to Todd Christensen pass from 14 yards out, capping that 68-yard drive in 3 plays. Napoleon McCallum to the 35. 2nd down and 5.
That's Jim Plunkett and Charlie Hanna standing on the sideline. Plunkett done for the day, and who knows? Talking to some of the Raiders yesterday, they said, no, he's going to be back. He'll be back here next year. But you never know at 39 whether or not Jim Plunkett may decide that this may be his last football game.
Rod Barksdale with 4 receptions, 152 yards. And here is Tim Moffitt. His first reception for 17 yards. John Holt with the tackle and a first down.
Raiders have the 18.
And the Raiders coming out with a couple of young wide receivers here today. Not only Rod Barksdale, but as well as Tim Moffitt. 2 of them look very good. This is a nice possession pattern here. I know it's the thought of being the speed receivers when you're in a Raider uniform for the most part, but that's a nice move underneath the coverage. Holt, number 21, coming over later for the tackle.
18-yard line of the Colts and a first down. And here's Napoleon McCallum. Let me take you back in time as he picks up 3. It's going to be 2nd down and 7. You remember the start of the second half, and Hilger missed a receiver who was wide open and missed him by about 5 yards?
Yeah, Marcus Allen down the side. Right?
Now he's kind of settled down. He has now hit 8 of 10, 116 yards and a touchdown.
He doesn't look rusty at all, does he?
I wish that I would have said that.
I stole that, I got to tell you.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Well, you know.
That's Glenn Adamo, our producer, whispering in our ear. I like the line, though.
Oh, so he's giving you the lines. Yes. Oh, yes, yes. 2nd down. At the 15-yard line. Blitz, and he's throwing it away. Moffitt would have been the closest receiver, but the blitz was coming, and Hilger he ran out of time.
But I think that was a mistake by either receivers or by Hilger, because 2 receivers came on the same angle. Usually, when you have somebody coming underneath there on the goal line in man-to-man coverage, you do have another receiver going back to the corner of the end zone. That's where Hilger threw the football. Instead, Moffitt goes down to the middle to the post pattern. He knew where he was throwing the football. That's a mistake by probably Moffitt there, number 83. Although he threw it far enough that you might not be wondering whether or not he just wanted to get rid of it.
3rd down at the 15-yard line. Timing pattern, left-hand corner, and it's incomplete. Good defensive play. Eugene Daniel knocking the ball out of the hands of Tim Moffitt. And it'll be 4th down.
Covering on the play for the Colts.
And this is right into the sun field. The only part that the sun is shining is right in this very corner of the end zone. And so that ball comes out of the shadow, and it does seem like Moffitt lost view of it for just a second, but that might have been because of the good coverage on the part of Eugene Daniel, number 38.
And Chris Barr with the field goal attempt. Jamie Kimmel to snap. Mark Wilson to hold. At the 23, an attempt of 33 yards. 32 yards they're going to call it. Ooh, that is close. It is sliding to the right, and it is no good. So Chris Barr misses from 32 yards away. The score remains the Raiders 24, the Colts 23. But a lot of time remaining, 11:40 left to go in the game. We'll be back. Top right-hand corner of your screen.
Dean Biasucci, number 4. See him up there up top? He's yelling, I bet you it's not encouragement, to Chris Barr, who didn't get the hook on that and missed the short field goal attempt. Interestingly enough, Chris Barr came into today's action 20 of 26, the same as his brother Matt, the same exact statistics with Cleveland. Matt, of course, on injured reserve. You see it hooking to the right, going to the right. He did not get it to hook back in. Matt, of course, on injured reserve with the Browns, but same, 20 out of 26.
The Colts with the ball at their own 20-yard line. Hogeboom as the man had the first down at the 42-yard line, a gain of 22. Albert Bentley pulls it in.
Check out for the play.
We have an injury timeout.
Good, to the 42.
Today's game is brought to you by Chrysler Plymouth. We're working together to be the best. By Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by Minolta, creator of the incredible Maxim Autofocus SLR system. Only from the mind of Minolta.
The score, the Raiders 24, the Colts 23, 11:27. That is the time remaining in the fourth quarter. Van McElroy is the player who is injured, and we'll take a commercial timeout and be back in just a moment. Van McElroy, the Raider who was shaken up on the play. Now coming to the sideline. He was just stunned, I believe.
Yeah, take a look. He really knocks himself out and making the tackle on Bentley. There he's number 26, and they applied some smelling salt as he was laying on the field, but he did get up and walk out of his own power.
The Colts from their own 42-yard line, first down. Here's the draw. Owen Gill, the ball carrier. Jeff Barnes makes the tackle. Owen Gill, the top draft choice of the Seattle Seahawks a year ago, and then picked up by the Colts on waivers. He was taken in the second round. That is his first carry. He's a pretty good ball carrier. 4.3-yard average, 224 yards this season. Has 3 to the 45. Second down and 7. Matt Bouza in motion. Here is Bentley. Cannot spin out of the grasp of Sean Jones. The report on McElroy is he was stunned, which we kind of figured, has a pinched nerve, and we doubt if he'll return. That is the preliminary report. And he has been replaced by Stephon Adams. Third down and 6 after a gain of a yard. And we're moving on the 10-minute mark, time remaining in the season for the Raiders and the Colts, as McElroy will step into the golf cart and go into the locker room. Matt Bouza in motion. Hogeboom, a little bump fake, wants to go deep. Over the middle, the reception by Pat Beach, the tight end. Jeff Barnes makes a tackle, a gain of 21 yards on the play.
And one more time, it's the tight end of the Colts going against Barnes. They like that matchup. They really set it up to throw that quick little screen out to the right to Albert Bentley. You see him standing out there, but that's number 98, Mitch Willis, that took that away from the play. And a little bit of innovation. Hogeboom pulls it back down and finds man-to-man coverage with Beach, his tight end, against Barnes.
And it was Sean Jones who was just half a step away from Hogeboom when he got it off. And Pat Beach has 4 receptions for 58 yards. First down at the 32-yard line of the Raiders. Colts trail by 1, 24-23. And here's Albert Bentley. He's got the first. He's to the 20. So he'll pick up about 12 yards on the play. Mitch Willis makes the tackle. And so Bentley has now rushed for 143 yards in 19 carries, has a couple receptions for 35 more. So he's having quite an outing.
Yeah, and he's playing because of the injury to Randy McMillan. A rib injury in the first quarter allowed Albert Bentley to get in and carry the football, and he thus becomes the first Colt running back to go over that 100-yard mark this year.
There's the score and the time remaining. The Colts down by 1 at the 20-yard line. And here's Bentley again. Running free to the 10-yard line. Ron Martin with the tackle at that point.
And that's the same play that just worked the other side. They're just pulling the other side of the offensive line. That time, it was Ron Solta and Carl Baldischweiler. The play before was Mark Kirshner and Chris Hinton. They keep pulling right and left and pulling Albert Bentley behind him, and he's doing quite a job following his blocks.
And it's going to be second down, about half a yard to go for the first down.
Changing the play at the line of scrimmage.
It's caught by Bill Brooks. 11 yards, touchdown. And they're picking up Sam Seal again. That is the 8th touchdown for Bill Brooks.
And credit that to Gary Hogeboom. He walked up to the line of scrimmage, looked out, saw the man-to-man coverage on the outside, liked the mismatch between Bill Brooks and Sammy Seal, changed the play at the line of scrimmage, and got the matchup in the corner of the end zone he wanted for the touchdown.
And Brooks, 6 receptions, 85 yards, and the score. The Colts with the lead as Dean Biasucci will attempt the extra point, an 80-yard drive in 7 plays. And it is good, but there's a marker down.
Offside, defense, point is good. Award the penalty on the kickoff.
All right, there's the touchdown again after Hogeboom makes the change. He gets it up in the corner of the end zone so that he gets the mismatch with Brooks. Either it's a touchdown or Brooks has the ability to knock it away, and they get the score.
Colts lead at 30-24.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Now Hogeboom, you see him change the play, yells to his left, then back over to his right. Now he's hoping everybody got the call. The offensive line, yeah, they got it. And did Brooks get it in the corner of the end zone? He sure does. Watch the athletic ability over Sammy Seal. It's like climbing a skyscraper for Seal. Not good enough. Touchdown, Colts. And watch the reaction of the Colts. You think they're not excited about possibly winning their 3rd game in a row? Hey, this is the first time all year they've hit 30 points.
So after losing the first 13, the Colts could win the last 3 as Dean Biasucci kicks off, and he sails it. They're pumped up. Colts have the lead 30-24 with just under 7.5 minutes left to go in the game. The Colts have scored more than 70 points 3 times this season, twice for wins. The crowd here today, well, you could tell it was sparse. Everybody knew that the Raiders were out of it, the Colts were out of it. 55,147 tickets were issued, just over 41,000 in attendance here at the Coliseum. So the no-shows, 13,798. So now let's see what the Raiders can do from their own 20-yard line. Rusty Hilger's looked pretty good at quarterback in the second half. And here is Rob Barksdale. 15 yards to the 35-yard line.
And that's a good sign because Barksdale, the sprinter, caught that ball in the crowd. You don't usually find that for someone without the experience of being a football player. As we mentioned earlier, no high school or college ball.
And that is his 5th reception for 167 yards in the ball game. Chicago leading Dallas in the 4th quarter, 24-0. That's the only other game going on in the National Football League besides this one. Hilger back, and he's going to be sacked. Dwayne Bickett has his 6th sack of the year. First of the ball game, the 2nd for the Colts.
And this is just another form of in the grass. This is in the grass from the top view, smothering in the grass.
Update on the ticker, Dallas with a field goal, so it's 24-3. Second down and 17. Filchers in the grasp again. So back-to-back sacks. Willie Broughton got that one, and that is his first sack of the year. And that takes the ball back to the 20, so it's going to be third down and 25.
Willie Broughton injured on that play, coming out, seemed to have banged up his shoulder just a little bit.
What did you like at third and 25? Throw to the other side of the field?
How about timeout?
Has it on the one hop, has a block, and he goes out, pushed down to the 28-yard line. Cliff Odom was the man who pushed him out.
All right, he's going to come right at you this time. He's been scrambling around back there. Easy for the Colts, are just in a deep zone. He'd make a good shortstop. Look at that. Louis Aspericia didn't have anything on him. Nice block from Marcus Allen to the inside, but he needed so many yards that he's still a fourth and, about 17 yards to go for a first down.
So Ray Guy will be kicking.
Ray Guy confirmation.
Bill Brooks is set for the return. Oh, good kick. Taken at the 22-yard line, after the 25, and then out of bounds. 51 yards on the kick by Ray Guy with a 7-yard return, and Lyndon King was down very quickly on the coverage team. So the Colts have the ball. They have the lead, 30-24, with 5:29 left. To look at the early game, Cincinnati defeating the Jets 52-21. Kansas City in the playoffs for the first time in 15 years by downing Pittsburgh 24-19. Washington winding up with a win. They'll be hosting the Rams in the wild card. Redskins and the Rams next week. San Diego ends on a losing note. Cleveland on a high note. They'll have home field advantage all the way. Minnesota wins and Atlanta wins. Here comes Albert Bentley one more time. He is really having a spectacular outing.
Yeah, he really is. He's a strong, tough running back. Say he doesn't have the greatest speed in the world, but he's got a lot of quickness to himself. He's strong, he's powerful, a good receiver, and he's got that tough, slashing type of a running ability.
Houston defeating Buffalo 16-7. Tampa Bay lost, but they win with the #1 draft choice, and that means that Vinny Testaverde will be with the Buccaneers. And in the other game that is playing underway along with ours at Chicago 24, Dallas 3, and here in Los Angeles, the Indianapolis Colts in front of the Raiders by 6, 30-24. Bentley again gets the call. Howie Long makes the tackle. This will be close to the first down. Let's see where they spot it. Albert Bentley, 22 rushes, 162 yards. Which means he's only 27 yards away from matching his total yardage of the rest of the season. Third down, about half a yard to go. Pick up the first down to the 39-yard line. Howie Long once again with the tackle. Jim Plunkett.
He could be valuable to this organization in future years as a strong backup quarterback if he decides that he wants to play a little bit longer. give you a couple of examples. Dan Marino and Don Strock in Miami, that kind of a situation. The veterans showing the younger quarterback what to do. Steve Grogan in New England, and Tony Eason, the young quarterback.
Wait. Don't count him out.
Oh, I'm not counting him out yet.
Where they won 8 and 9, I mean, he played pretty well.
He's made too many comebacks.
Yeah, that's right.
But I guarantee you, the Raiders are going to be looking for a young quarterback next year.
He has a whole trophy case of comeback awards.
Yes,
You're right.
He does. And Jim Plunkett will not be for the forgotten man here in L.A.
No, not at all. Not at all. From Stanford, a Heisman Trophy winner, exceptionally young man. Albert Bentley, to the 42, picks up about 3. It's going to be 3rd down and 7. And a program note to those viewers who have just tuned in to watch Sunday Night at the Movies. Well, stay tuned. Sunday Night at the Movies, featuring one of my favorites, Annie, will be seen in its entirety immediately following football, except for those of you watching in the Mountain and Pacific time zones, where, of course, this whole evening's lineup of Annie, the Bob Hope Christmas special, and the Amy Grant Christmas special, that's yours.
Yeah, and as you so politely pointed out before, the Bob Hope Christmas special with the AP All-Americans, of which I was not a member, the Kodak All-Americans.
But you were close.
No, it wasn't.
No, you were close. You should have been.
Don't try to make up for it now, Charlie.
Here's Jack Trudeau, one of the 3 quarterbacks of the Indianapolis Colts. 8 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, 48.9%. And, of course, the other quarterback is Blair Keel.
And there was some noise made when it appeared that Indianapolis would get the first-round choice by Jack Trudeau and his agent, talking about whether or not that they should trade Trudeau, the young quarterback, if you're going to have a Testaverde. Well, that, of course, all becomes academic now that the Colts do not get the first-round choice.
The number 2 draft choice of the Colts. And here's Albert Bentley. Good defensive play by Greg Townsend. By the way, be sure to start your new year right here with NBC Sports on January the 1st. The granddaddy of them all. I love it. The granddaddy of them all. Michigan and Arizona State. What is Phoenix and Tempe, that whole area? Oh, what a weekend they're going to have. The Orange Bowl, of course. Number 3, Oklahoma against the University of Arkansas, one of my numerous alma maters. And then everybody from Phoenix that's been over here for the Rose Bowl flies back home for the national championship game between Miami and Penn State in Tempe. The Fiesta Bowl. Dynamite. 4th down. And a little over 10 to go. Here's the kick. Ooh, good kick by Ron Stark. Woo. It hits Walker. He can down it in the end zone, though. He did not have possession. He could have downed it in the end zone and still have got the touchback. I think he had a momentary lapse, Jimmy.
Well, he wanted to allow the ball to go back into the end zone. That was the right choice, but it gets a bad bounce as far as Stump is concerned, full to Walker, and it hits him. The book is, once you're going to let it go, just get as far away from it as humanly possible. There's nothing you can do about it, but he does make the mistake then of trying to get it back out of the end zone. He's lucky he didn't get caught for the safety.
The reason he could have downed it in the end zone is he didn't have possession, and the impetus was not put on it by him. It was the impetus is from the kick, and the body just deflected.
It was not a fumble, it was a muffed punt.
That's right. 61 yards on the kick for Ron Stark and a 3-yard return, and Los Angeles is at their own 4-yard line. 2:19 left to go. Bilger throws. Incomplete at the 35-yard line to Barksdale. And it'll be 2nd down and 10 back at the 4.
Now, you tell me if Barksdale does not look like Marcus Allen running down the field. He's got that same fluid motion. He looks just like, look at the middle of your screen. He's got that great speed. Now, the hit comes from the backside from Daniel, and it's a good hit, right? It seemed like right at the same time that the ball did get there, and he's trying to get some help from the official.
May have gotten there a bit early.
That's some good eyes you've got.
I got a big monitor. I'm looking at the same thing everybody at home is looking at. Bilger's completed 9 of 14, 135 yards and a touchdown. And he gets it up, and it's incomplete. And are they going to rule in the grass? If they do, it's a safety. Harvey Armstrong was there. Oh, that was close.
Yeah, I think he got away with one hair. Remember, in the grass, it's a safety if they've got a hold of him. Do they or do they not? It appears that Harvey Armstrong, that's, to me, that looks like in the grass. Harvey Armstrong had more than one handful.
You know, it's just being consistent on that throughout the ballgame. If you would have called that at the 30-yard line, then you have to call it there. I think that's the key. They say grasp and control. Todd Christensen, of course, first down. When you're in trouble, you go to the main man. 2 touchdowns in the ballgame. Picks up 16 and a first down here. Todd Christensen, 5 receptions, 47 yards, leading receiver of the National Football League. 2-minute warning. We'll be back in a moment to see if the Raiders can pull it out. On behalf of all of us at NBC Sports, I want to take this opportunity to wish everybody the happiest of all holiday seasons. I think it goes for both of us.
I'm never sure about Wayne. Of course it goes for both of us, Charlie. Tell me about this football game now. Can the Raiders pull this thing out with Rusty Hilger?
I think in the last 2 minutes, the Raiders are going to drive down. They're going to score the touchdown. They're going to miss the extra point. We're going to overtime.
Well, at least they would have a nicer Christmas, wouldn't it, down there if Rusty Hilger, the Raiders would, if he could bring it back and bring this thing to a tied game and allow Barr to come in and try to win it with an extra point.
The nice thing about working with you throughout this season, it's been a laugh a minute.
I'm glad you've enjoyed it, Charlie.
Boy, it's working here with the Grinch himself, you know. Hilger's bad drops by Marcus Allen. This has not been his day. I want to tell you something about Marcus Allen. We talked about the Fiesta Bowl. We're going to be there for the National Championship. When USC played in the Fiesta Bowl, the last time they played the Fiesta Bowl, they played against Penn State. Marcus fumbled on the first play from scrimmage. The next play, Kurt Warner went in from 17 yards out, scored the touchdown. Penn State destroyed USC. Marcus had a terrible game. Terrible game. That was the year he won the Heisman Trophy. When the game was over, Marcus stayed out on the field of the Fiesta Bowl, did every interview, talked to every radio station, every television, the mark of a real gentleman and a true superstar. I really like this man.
Yeah, he is. He's one of those rare players that come into the league not very often.
The pass is incomplete at the 31-yard line to Todd Christensen. He called for the flag, and he got it on pass interference. Ball had been tipped. No, you didn't hear the ball. If the ball has been tipped, then it's open season. You can hit before the ball gets there.
Yeah, but it must have been tipped at the line of scrimmage.
At the line of scrimmage.
What the call was.
Yeah, that's what it was. Going to be 3rd down and 10 at the 19-yard line.
Let's take a look at the tip and see if we can pick it up the line of scrimmage. There's Plunkett down the bottom. Wow, it's tough to tell from that angle, but it did change the flight of the football, so it was tipped at the line of scrimmage.
3rd down and 10. To Christensen, and this flag comes from 15 yards away, and he'll have the first down. And let's see what the marker's about.
Holding, 31 defense, penalties decline, first down.
That is the 6th reception for Christensen in the ball game, which means he has now tied his record, the alternate with 92 receptions, which is the all-time record for tight ends in the National Football League. Hilger going deep. Oh, I thought there was offensive pass interference. Did you?
Yeah, I sure did. Although both were going for the football, that does not allow you to run over a defensive back. It's anybody's ball once it's in the middle of the air. And sure enough, it appears that Tim Moffitt, right at the end, he and Holt get tangled up. No, maybe not, Charlie. He was looking like he was going inside after the football, and their legs got tangled up. That's incidental contact from my angle, at least. Although, you know, as a receiver, you always say it's Cefalo when you're the one in question. Holt getting a start today. They reshuffled that defensive secondary, the Colts, with Coleman going to his safety spot, along with Glasgow. Dwight Hicks sitting down today.
2nd and 10. Far side, it is dropped. Oh, Marcus. It'll be a long winter for him, the way that he's finished up the last 3 or 4 ball games. You know it?
Yeah, 2 fumbles last week, a couple today, and a couple of drop passes. He's always been a winner, coming from USC with the Heisman Trophy, as you mentioned, and the most valuable player here in the NFL, and one of the best running backs to play this game. It will be a long winter because he does have that commitment to excellence that the Raiders talk about. Fortunately today, with 4 drop passes.
And he's been hurting. He's been hurting physically since early in the season. Todd Christensen right at the first down marker, and that was 3rd down. That is his 7th reception, and there is history being made. That is a new record for tight ends in the National Football League. 93 receptions. Oh, he is so good. First down at the 42-yard line. Raiders take a timeout with 1 minute and 5 seconds left. Can they pull it out? They trail by 6. Stay with us for the finish. We'll be back in just a moment. Charlie Jones, Jimmy Cefalo, 1 minute and 5 seconds. That is it for the season. Hilger under pressure, throws, and Todd Christensen could not hold on to this one. Leonard Coleman was there for the defense. 1 minute left.
Coleman seemed to take his eye of flight away from the football, did not get a good shot at it coming down. Looked like he just took a stab at the last second because, as I mentioned earlier, Todd Christensen does not drop many footballs.
Rusty Hilger has converted on 3 third down opportunities in this drive. 2nd down and 10 at the 42. Raiders in their own territory. Rusty Hilger, 12 of 23, 170 yards and a touchdown. They get a 3-man rush, and it is caught. Should be the first down. Barksdale has it. Kenny Daniel makes the tackle at the 47-yard line of Indianapolis. Timeouts remaining, a pair apiece.
Hilger taking too much time at the line of scrimmage. The clock winding down.
Incomplete, overthrowing Todd Christensen.
And he wasted another 5 seconds. I mean, I like the idea of him having ice water going through his, cool veins and calm at the line of scrimmage, but it's running down. Get up there, get the play called, and throw it.
Or just get a snap off and throw it out of bounds to stop the clock and save yourself another 5 or 7 seconds.
All right.
All the post-game activities this afternoon on KRLA Radio.
2 timeouts left. 28 seconds time left. Rod Barksdale has made the big plays for the Raiders today. 6 receptions, 179 yards. Incomplete. McCallum, the intended receiver, Glasgow had the coverage. And it's going to be 3rd down and 10 at the 47-yard line with 23 seconds left. Of course, you're playing 4 downs here.
Right. Well, with 2 timeouts left, though, now he can go to that shorter passing game. He does need 10 yards for the first down. That has to be his immediate concern. He'll worry about the rest of it later, but he's got to get the first down. He's got 2 downs to do it, and he's got the 2 timeouts left.
Here you go to Todd Christensen for the first down. There he is, and he's got it, and he leans, and he should pick it up, and you call the timeout. Yep. Coleman and Balaj on the tackle at the 37-yard line.
And this is double coverage. What they do is called a pinch. They've got 1 defensive back on his left, 1 on his right, and what does he do? He finds a soft spot in between them and still makes the catch.
Oh, he's something else, isn't he?
Yeah, it's called a pinch. And what you do is you play man-to-man all over the field, and you say, let's pinch Christensen. because he's their best receiver in a possession situation, as you mentioned, but he still beat it.
Christensen with 8 receptions, as you saw. Ron Meyer, head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Currently, they are 2-0 under him. Could be 3-0 as they lead by 6, 30-24. 16 seconds away from ending on a true high note for Indianapolis. Who would have thought they could have finished up the season this way?
And you've got to respect them. Coming in, they're 0-13. Obviously, can get the first pick in the draft if they wanted. But Ron Meyer comes in, replaces Ron Dahlhauer, and makes the decision to activate Gary Hogeboom when he could have got with Jack Trudeau, who was the lowest-rated starting quarterback in the NFL at the time. But they wanted to win. They wanted to develop that kind of a feeling that winning is what they need in Indianapolis, and that all started with Ron Meyer and him coming in.
This drive started back at the 4-yard line. This is the 15th play. There have been 4 third downs that have been converted. 16 seconds. Time remaining in the game. Hilger deep over the middle, and it's Christensen to the 12-yard line. Timeout. 8 seconds. 25 seconds.
We've got
25 yards. I'm sorry. 25 yards. Flag. Back at the 47. What an exciting way to finish the season. Between two teams that wind it up. Personal foul. It is against the Colts. To the end of the play.
All right, they flood this side of the zone. They've got 3 players on the side. What they do is send the 2 receivers down and then cut Christensen across.
Disqualification, number 50, Indianapolis. First down.
It was on Dwayne Bickett of the Colts.
And there you see Christensen calling for the timeout as soon as he was down. That's the veteran. That's what you do, and that's why they've got 8 seconds left on the clock. He's walking around telling everybody in the huddle there's 1 timeout left. When you've got a young quarterback.
That was their last timeout. That was their last timeout.
All right. Christensen was in the huddle telling everybody 1 timeout left. He was trying to. Then he realized that was the last one gone.
I think the official overheard him and said, wait a minute, that's wrong. Don't miss it for.
Might have been it. He was trying to take control of the huddle, though, with a young quarterback. That's what a veteran has to do.
A final score, Chicago 24 and Dallas 10. That is now final. Todd Christensen in this ball game, 9 receptions, 104 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Whoop. No timeouts, 8 seconds. This is quite a football game.
It really is
trying to wrap this one up and put it on the Christmas tree. I like it.
With both clubs out of the playoffs coming into today, I think everybody was concerned it wouldn't be that good of a contest, but it's really turned out to be quite a game.
Rusty Hilger, 15 of 27, 216 yards and a touchdown. That's all in the second half. 216 yards in the second half for Rusty Hilger, 6th round last year for the touchdown, and it's incomplete. He was going to Marcus Allen. 4 seconds left.
Surprised on that play is the Colts sent everybody. They had an all-out blitz on the play. I like it. A gutsy call on the part of the defensive people on the sidelines for the Colts.
Here it is.
Now will they come back and play a zone all the way through the end zone and force the young quarterback to try to find a way around it, or will they blitz again?
Blitz again. Here they come. There it is. If he's got it. No, he's out of bounds. Mark Patterson is out of bounds. Time has run out on the Raiders. The Colts win their last 3. Hilger has a great game. Oh, what a way to wind up the season. Tom Flores, the head coach of the Los Angeles Raiders.
Got a very disappointed Rusty Hilger.
But deep down inside, he has to be smiling because he played well in the second half.
Yeah, I think he made the fans here in the Coliseum very happy. Showed what he could do, as you said, 216 yards all in the second half of play. And the coaching staff has got to be happy as well. But none happier than Ron Meyer on the far sideline. 3-0 since taking over for Rod Delhauer.
And Tom Flores, the Raiders finish up at 8-8 at 500. And their second none-winning season in the last 22 years. And they finished 3-5 at home. The final once again, Indianapolis 30, the Los Angeles Raiders 24. We'll be back. For the Colts, they win their last 3 under Ron Meyer. Here, sponsored by Budweiser. Today, the MVP is Albert Bentley of the Colts. He rushed for 162 yards, 35 yards receiving, 35 yards in kickoff returns, a total of 232 yards. So Budweiser will make a contribution to the United Way on behalf of Bentley, the MVP today.
And it all came down to this play, the final one of the game. Mark Patterson into the corner of the end zone, and Rusty Hilger trying to get it there, but just out of the corner of the end zone, no good. The Raiders come up short. The Colts with their third win under Ron Meyer in 3 straight weeks.
Immediately following football coverage, we'll be presenting the Sunday Night at the Movies featuring Annie in its entirety, except for Mountain and Pacific time zone stations, where the program will be seen in its regular time. The final, the Colts win at 30-24 for Jimmy Cefalo. I'm Charlie Jones. Merry Christmas, everybody.